The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
It was a loaded Brier field, including world champion Rick Folk. Ed Burtnyk, who last raised the tankard in 1990, returned. Al Hackner, the Iceman, another two-time Brier winner, came to Halifax. Alberta's Kevin Martin, all smiles in '91, gunning for a second title. Kerry Burtnyk, magical in Halifax 14 years ago, red hot again. However, this championship gallery of sharpshooters would have only 4 playoff positions available. Some high hopes would be shot down, beginning with Rick Folk of Kelowna, defending world champion. He faced 5 rocks in a must-win match with Alberta and came away empty. Didn't even make the playoffs. Folk shot down. Much the same story for the Iceman, Al Hackner. The two-time world champion from Northern Ontario badly needed a win against Manitoba in their final round-robin game. But the effort melted in the face of Manitoba momentum. Another ex-Brier champ shot down. Next up, the wrench. The Scarborough firefighter wanted to take an axe to ice conditions in Halifax, but at least he reached the playoffs before falling to Kevin Martin's Alberta crew for the second time in 2 days. Down and out for Burtnyk. That left Martin and Burtnyk. A 10-1 record merely gave Manitoba last rock in the playoffs. Burtnyk and Jeff Ryan watched the game go into an extra end. And Saskatchewan's Brad Height held the hammer, drawing to the forefoot for the game winner. As the upstarts grabbed the glory, a trip into the final, Burtnyk was left wondering if his Halifax magic was starting to wane. Today, 2 former champs shoot for the right to meet Saskatchewan at the Halifax Metro Center. Championship curling on CBC continues on the home of the champions with the Brier Semifinal. Featuring Manitoba's Kerry Burtnyk up against Alberta's Kevin Martin for the right to advance to tomorrow's final. And we're live at the Halifax Metro Center for every rock of this semifinal game. And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us wherever you may be. And as you heard in our opening, there are a lot of former champions on the sidelines watching today. We've got a great matchup for you today in today's semifinal between Manitoba and Alberta. But before we tell you about that, we want to tell you a little bit about the weather. Why, you ask? Because it really affects the ice conditions here in Halifax. Today looks really good. Temperature -6, humidity 44%. But during the week, the ice makers were facing temperatures about 13 degrees with humidity up to 95%. That high humidity was causing very frosty, heavy ice. But today, the ice looks very good because it's cold and clear here in Halifax. Great curling weather as we look forward to our matchup between Manitoba and Alberta. Joining us, as always, the play-by-play announcer, Don Whitman, and 3-time Brier champ and 2-time world champion, Don Duguid. Gentlemen, your thoughts on the game?
Thank you, Colleen. Hi, everybody. You know, Don, when you consider that Manitoba and Alberta have combined for 40 Brier victories, 23 for Manitoba, 17 for Alberta, it's rather unusual that these two provinces have never met since the playoff system was introduced in 1980 in a playoff game.
Well, it really is unusual. You know, we talked to Kevin Park last night, and I said, Kevin, you know, you were very ordinary the first part of the week, and he said, you're being very kind, Don. We were really bad the first part of the week. I think the turnaround came for Kevin in the round-robin game when he played Manitoba, made a great shot to the button to beat Manitoba, and I think his team gained momentum then.
That was the only loss inflicted upon Kerry Burtnyk during the week as he finished round-robin play at 10-1. Manitoba lost in an extra end last night to Brad Height of Saskatchewan in a semifinal, but under the Page system, Manitoba gets another chance today. Will that game last night have any bearing, and will the loss to Alberta have any bearing on Manitoba's performance today?
I don't think so. They're a very solid team, Dom. For the whole round-robin playoff, they were much the better team. 10-1 record. Their percentages were high. They adjusted to the ice. They were never complaining about the ice. They just went about their business, and they were by far the best team. Kerry missed a few crucial rocks early in the game, and I think that was his undoing.
Well, Kerry Burtnyk would like to duplicate his performance in Halifax in 1981. And, of course, Kevin Martin and his Alberta crew would like to return to the victory podium they ascended in 1991. Colleen?
Thanks, guys. Get your popcorn ready. We've got a great matchup between Manitoba and Alberta. Saskatchewan's Brad Height, of course, is waiting in tomorrow's final for the winner of this semifinal game. 10 years ago, or let's see, 14 years ago, get my math right, it was Kerry Burtnyk winning here in Halifax. He was just a 22-year-old kid. Kevin Martin was just a kid when he won his first Brier back in 1991. Both gentlemen would love to get back to that final and win it again. We'll be back with all the action here live from Halifax. Our Labatt Brier semifinal game between Manitoba and Alberta. Stay with us here on CBC, home of the champions, for Labatt Brier semifinal action.
So I'm channel surfing when it occurs to me, I wouldn't mind hitting one of those fashion TV shows in Paris. You know, I'd find out what's in, find out what's out. That'd be cool. And who knows, maybe someone over there would appreciate the enduring qualities of a true Canadian lager. Hey, trendy colors come and go. Blue never goes out of style.
We bought the Ford Windstar for its space and comfort, especially space. We have 5 girls. I drive them to their music lessons, swimming, skating, hockey. It holds all of their things. They really like the Windstar. I hope we can raise them up to be responsible and giving, good adults.
There are some things you can't put a price on. Fortunately, safety isn't one of them.
Hi, roadside assistant?
Cantel Amigo for $19.95 a month with no setup fees and no long-term commitment. Because if you had to put a price on safety, this is it. Cantel Amigo.
I saw a vision of what this house could be for us.
He took it all the way down to the plaster.
This is our first house. In the other houses, they're off as much as 2 inches. These ones are perfectly true.
He took everything out.
I felt like I own something. I own a piece of the earth.
CIBC Personal Vision Home Ownership. To see better ways to borrow for home renovation, see your CIBC personal banker or call.
I see our home as sort of our nest.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
Thursday. I want $50,000 cash.
You're going bankrupt, Jer. You want me to help you?
I want my own place.
No deal.
Who's minding the store? North of 60, Thursday at 9.
Can't wait to get home.
Rachel's return is marred by tragedy.
Mrs. Lynn! She wants to be with us. That's why she came home.
I'm afraid Rachel suffered another very severe stroke.
We'll take good care of you.
Road to Avonlea, Sunday at 7. The Labatt Brier on CBC. Brought to you by Labatt, Good Things Brewing. Ford of Canada. CIBC Insurance. And by Unitel, quality long distance for less.
We're live from the Metro Center in Halifax, Nova Scotia, for the Labatt Brier semifinal between Manitoba and Alberta. Just a reminder, as always, time clocks are in effect. Both sides have 70 minutes each to complete the game. They can call 2 one-minute timeouts. If they run out of time, they lose the game. That, of course, would be a first. Time for the opening rock. Here's Don Whitman and Don Duguid.
70 minutes for each side, and the time clocks are suspended high above the ice surface here at the Metro Center, and you will see the competitors from time to time glance up at the clock to see how much time they have remaining. During the round-robin competition, neither side had any difficulties with the time clock. At the Women's Championship, the Scott Tournament of Hearts in Calgary, there were occasions when a couple of the teams came very close to running out of time. Don Bartlett will get things underway. Manitoba, by virtue of a 10-1 round-robin record, has last rock advantage in this playoff game, and they also had the choice of rocks, and they opted for the red-handled stones. Bartlett was with Kevin Martin in 1991 when they won the Brier. He was also playing the lead that year, and he was with the team in 1992 when they finished in third place, losing in a playoff game to Russ Howard. Keith Fenton is a newcomer to this level of competition. He's the lead for the Manitoba squad. He has curled very well despite the pressure all week.
Well, he's a rookie, but he's handled the pressure well. Kerry asked for a corner guard. He put it up. Don Bartlett, the lead for Alberta, of course, put up the rock in a perfect spot. He's about 6 inches in front of the rings. Manitoba cannot remove it. Kevin Martin's going to promote this one into the rings. And I would think this is the way they're both going to play for the whole game.
Don Bartlett, the lead, born in Gander, Newfoundland, and he said his grandparents in Corner Brook will be looking in and watching with a great deal of interest this afternoon. Both sides like to play an aggressive game, and very early, Kevin Martin has Bartlett raise the stone into the rings.
Unfortunately for Bartlett, Don, he hit it just a little bit on the high side, drove it into the open, and you can see where Kerry Burtnyk is holding the brush. The ice runs very straight down the center. It'll curl towards the corners. From the inside out towards the corner, it'll curl about 2.5 feet. Down the center here, very, very straight. A little bit of movement there on the in-turn, but you play the out-turn on that side of the sheet on the edge of the 4-foot, Don, it'll stay very straight and perhaps fall a bit against the turn.
Criminology student at Red River Collegiate in Winnipeg, Keith Fenton has his shooter roll into the 12-foot ring. And James Paul, the Alberta second, will attempt to take that rock out of play. He'd like to roll back into the center of the house and perhaps get in behind that short center guard. Right idea, but not quite enough.
Well, the rock ended up in exactly the same spot as the last one, so for Meekin, it'll be a similar hit as to what Keith Fenton played down there. Once again, Kerry will put the brush right in the center of the rock.
Rob Meekin in 1988 was the second for Jeff Stoughton when they won the Canadian Mixed Curling Championship. So he's no stranger to pressure situations. Ooh, he just catches a corner. Will it be enough to spill it? The rings, Don, aren't as lively as we saw at the Scott Tournament of Hearts, where you could just touch a stone and it would slide completely through the rings.
Yeah, it's a little less movement to it, and that was because of the humidity factor they had early in the week. But it's a lot slippier now in the house than it was at the beginning of the week.
Well, Bill Harris and his ice crew deserve a great deal of credit for what they were able to do despite all the problems with the humidity. Unseasonably warm temperatures outside created very, very difficult ice-making conditions, and I think they coped rather admirably.
No, there's no question about that. There's nothing you can do about humidity. No matter who you are, if it builds up on the inside of the curling club, you're going to get frost, you're going to get problems.
And while a lot of the curlers complained about the ice conditions, they also were blaming it more on the rocks than the ice.
Yeah, but those who were complaining were still shooting better than 80%.
That's very true. What did they say? Whining and winning.
Alberta lies too as Rob Meekin attempts the removal of the stone at the top of the 12.
Yeah. Whoa.
It's a beautiful thrown rock by Rob Meakin. I think the first one, he just kind of turned it in him and rolled it inside the target area that he was shooting at. And if you roll the rock inside the broom, Don, turn your wrist, it will take off a lot faster. And that's what happened with this first one. Second one, he released it nicely onto the broom, and it stayed fairly straight till the end.
Well, Kevin Martin is calling for a raise of the stone sitting just off the center line back onto the Manitoba rock, and you'll see Kevin Park every time he settles down in the hack, he gives the rock a spin before he grabs it and gets set for his delivery. And that's the way he was curling in the playoff encounter with Ontario.
Well, you know, I've said for years, from when they curled in the Canadian Championship previously, that Kevin Park may not be the best third in the world, but I tell you, he's in the top two. Because he is dynamite. He's a great thrower of the rock, makes some outstanding shots, which sets it up for Kevin Martin.
Jeff Ryan, the younger brother of
Pretty hard to roll in. You can
Ryan.
fish this way. Okay.
And I'm going to tell you, Jeff Ryan, speaking of thirds, has had a phenomenal week. Actually, a phenomenal year. He's an excellent shot maker, like his brother. Loves to finesse it, can make any shot in the curling buck.
We always seem to have a Ryan in the semifinal or final, don't we?
Well, Pat Ryan, of course, had so much success on his own as a skip and then throwing third stones for Rick Folk. And Jeff removes the stone sitting just off the center line, and the shooter rolls out of play. A very difficult time for their father, Glenn, who was in attendance during the week when the two provinces, Manitoba and British Columbia, met, and Pat and Jeff were exchanging shots at third for their respective teams.
Pat's really excited. Jeff is doing this well, too. He says this is his turn. This is his time to do it. Be in the spotlight for a while.
Of course, the curlers have the luxury of having a 10-minute practice session before they play on this sheet, so they know pretty well what the running time of the rock will be to get it in the rings. It's running about 22 seconds, 22 and a half right now. It will keen up. Once the pebble starts wearing off, you round out the pebble that they put on the ice, and it'll get a little bit keener as the more rocks are thrown down a particular area. I heard Kevin Park say, you know, you can't be sure on that rock, and you're right. But he slipped behind the tee line, Don, now allows Manitoba the chance to freeze to it. That's one thing Manitoba's done all week. They've been very, very aggressive. Every time you looked, there was a lot of rocks in play when Manitoba was playing, and that was the key to their success. They are not afraid to gamble.
So this is a gutsy call in the first end to play the freeze, even though it's there for you, and you have had practice, so you should know the draw weight. You don't see it very often.
No, normally the first couple of ends, you like to learn how the ice is running, but they played here all week, and all sheets pretty well run the same. The outside in runs very, very straight, but the inside out gets about the 2.5-foot curl, so they know what it runs like.
It's up pretty big away from this line.
Kevin Martin had to make a fantastic shot in the Alberta final against Ed Lukowicz with his first stone in the last end, the double raise takeout. To get here, he started a little slowly. But boy, he's been shooting lights out over the last part of this 1995 for Matt Brier.
Well, what you don't want to have happen to your team and yourself when you're playing Kevin Martin is you get a couple, three down in the early going of the game, because they'll run everything. They are such fantastic hitters that they can get a half a rock no matter where it is, behind a guard, wherever. They're just awesome. And conversely, Kerry's forte, Don, is he likes to play the come-arounds. And this is an ideal situation for him. As long as he's got the draw weight, he'll duck it in around there, and he could try and score his 2 points that way.
But I don't think he's too happy about seeing as many yellow rocks in play as he is looking at. 3 in the rings, 1 just outside.
No, that's right. Anytime you're drawing against 3, it's not a great situation.
In the background, the Labatt Brier tanker. Both these skips have engraved their names on that trophy. Burtnyk here in Halifax in 1981. 10 years later in Regina, it was Kevin Martin's turn.
If he lets this one go, the sweepers will jump on it and make a decision how fast the rock is going. Jeff Ryan on the other end will, of course, watch the line very closely.
Whoa, lot of room. Lot of room. Stay with it. Never.
Manitoba lies 1. But Kevin Martin can get to that shot stone. There is a danger, however, he could jam it back in his own.
Well, he's taking ice right on the edge of the rock. And, you know, rather to take that same path away from Kerry Burtnyk, he'll try to hit it a little bit on the high side. He doesn't care if he kills the one at the back and roll over a little bit so that Kerry's got nothing to come up against with his last rock. So
Roll a bit.
That's exactly what he would like to do. As you heard him say to the front end, to the sweepers, James Paul and Don Bartlett.
Clean. Clean. Oh, clean. Yeah. Yeah. Hard. Throw. Whoa. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Whoa.
and that's what we meant by the roll.
I wanted to get it right out of it. Yeah, no bad.
He wants to roll out of there, so there's nothing for Kerry to come up against. He wants to leave him a straight draw. The less rocks at the back that Kerry can come up to, the better it is for Alberta. So Kerry's got relatively the same shot. With his first one gone, he slipped right to the back 8-foot, you know, so he'll say, well, maybe I'll just take a little bit off. There's always that danger, but then the brushers will get on it right away. As soon as he lets it go, you watch, the brushers will jump in, start brushing it, and then make a decision how fast it's going. They feel it's got enough, they won't touch it.
Most of the curlers we have talked to have suggested the ice here at the Metro Center in Halifax has been very sensitive to release.
Yes.
Easy. Watch it.
Do not afford any outward motion to the target that you're shooting at. They're off it now.
Good line.
Now you see him brushing it. You know that he's very, very close to making it because there you want to brush it. And you know it's very close. Beautiful shot.
Not an easy shot in the first end facing 3 stones, but Kerry Burtnyk puts it right on the button, and Manitoba draws first blood in this Brier Semifinal.
It doesn't take a thief long to steal a car. Police reports show that on average, 1 car is stolen every 20 seconds. It's time to get serious about crime prevention. It's time for the Club. The Club is a state-of-the-art tempered steel locking device that's tough to defeat. Once attached to your vehicle, thieves see it and move on, leaving your car or truck right where you parked it. Accept no cheap imitations. Make sure your anti-theft device says the Club on the handle. Never park your car without it.
With this draw for 3 14 years ago in Halifax, Kerry Burtnyk became the youngest skip to win the Brier.
It's pretty vivid in my memory, certainly, and I think it always will be. It was pretty special, you know, 22 years old and win the Canadian Championship. And at that time, we felt like we had the world by the tail, so to speak. And you know, that's always going to be a highlight of my life. No matter what happens for the rest of my curling career, that'll always be the special moment. And it's very nice to be back in Halifax again and kind of relive some of the memories.
That youthful glory seems like a lifetime ago for the Winnipeg curler, now a family man and investment advisor.
Mostly, curling is now ranks a little lower on my list of priorities. And when I was 22 years old, I didn't do anything but curl, really, and that was the only thing important to me. But now, I have a wife and a young child and another one on the way. And, you know, certainly those are the most important things to me. And I also have a good career that I've been at now for the last 8 years. And I really enjoy that, and certainly that ranks ahead of curling as well. But curling is still very important to me. But I'd say that's the biggest difference.
Over the years, Burtnyk's discovered that winning at this stage of his career calls for a different kind of commitment.
I think it becomes a little more difficult to win because when you don't have the time to go out and practice all the time and focus strictly on curling, and you have distractions because you've got responsibilities elsewhere. And I think if you can accept that then you can help manage it. And what you need to do is try and get on a good streak at the right time during your provincial playdowns and hopefully carry it through to something like the Brier. And I think it's more difficult to do, but I think it's still possible to do.
Also possible is the 1995 Manitoba sweep with dual junior titles in Regina, followed by Connie Laliberty at the Scott.
With the other two junior teams winning and Connie winning a couple of weeks ago, you know, I think that does add some pressure. But I think what people might not realize is that we only get to a Brier every once in a while, if you ever do. And I think we put more pressure on ourselves.
He's had 3 Brier trips 7 years apart. Time for Burtnyk to cash in again?
I'm lucky enough to be here for my 3rd time, but it's taken 15 years to do that. And, you know, who knows if I'd ever be lucky enough to be back again. So, you know, that's where a lot of the pressure comes from, is, you know, you got your chance right now and you got to try and make use of it right now.
And Kerry Burtnyk, who is an investment advisor with Richardson Greenshields in Winnipeg, wanted us to thank the staff back in the office who treated the entire team to dinner here in Halifax on the Sunday night of Brier competition.
Well, I know that means a lot to the team, to Kerry and Jeff, Rob, and Keith. I mean, that's a great gesture by the employees, and they were very, very grateful. I wonder how much the bill was.
They didn't have to worry about it. You and I could have had a real great time then.
Yeah, come on. In already.
Well, that was a good draw by Kerry Burtnyk in the last end. You know, anytime, like you say, Don, facing 3, and you have last rock. But the nice thing about it, he didn't put it in the 8-foot or the 12-foot. He put it right on the button, and that's a great sign. It means he's got control of his draw weight.
Yeah. Yeah, come on.
And you heard Don Bartlett say it's getting over there. This is where the rock really does a lot of curling from the center line over towards the boards. But this is a little bit short of the intended target.
Well, there isn't the frost buildup on the outside of the sheets, as we saw earlier in the week when it caused some problems of attempting to go out to the wings. But Don Bartlett does come up short now. Kerry Burtnyk, without last rock, will try and take advantage.
Well, really, by Bartlett hogging that rock, really takes the offense out of the end for the Alberta team, because then Kerry would maybe have to play a guard. Alberta may go around that corner guard, elect to run the 2 and get something started. But now, I think he's going to have to start running the fronts. Unfortunately, this guard pulled over a little bit too far for Fenton, and the Manitoba rock is open. So there's a nice movement to the ice. You see Kevin Martin widening up the broom. That's the most amount of ice I've seen on a hit since we've been here, Don.
Don Bartlett always gets right in behind his rock to watch it go down. Help call the line.
Geez, it's sliding pretty good today.
You're right about that, Kevin. It is sliding good. See, he hit that one right at the top of the 12-foot, and not very much weight, and it spun right out of the rings. Right up against the boards, but not in the rings.
Earlier in the week, that rock would not have rolled up.
Oh, it would have stopped probably top of the 8-foot.
We'll try to get a feel of just what draw weight is. It has been running about 21 or 22 seconds throughout the week. At least if you keep your draw weight down that blue path along the 4-foot area. And it really is swinging a lot more today than what we have seen throughout the week. And now for Alberta, they've got the 2 corner guards set up.
That's right. This is a good setup for Alberta, because now they've got 2 corner guards, like you say, Pauline, and they can go around either one. And normally a skip that knows what he's doing, will always pick the turn that there's a lot more curl in it, because he knows he can miss the front guard by about a foot, and the rock will bend and get in behind the guard, as opposed to taking the straight with the falling back turn. You go by the rock by a foot and be wide open.
Wait there. Well, it hasn't got the line yet. On a wait.
Generate this offense in this particular end, you have to bring the rock tightly around the front one and hopefully bury it.
Bring it right back.
Alberta lies 1 with the stone just delivered by James Paul.
behind a long guard.
You know?
He had the weight, and it buried nicely at the end, but it seemed like it was going to hang there for a while.
Well, there's lots of room, as you say, Colleen. The rock is guarding is just about a foot over the hog line. So Meekin here can miss that guard by about a foot. If he's got the correct weight, he should pull nicely by that rock and make contact with the shot rock. Well by it. Now is he going to move over enough? Just touches it.
You always like it when the skip acknowledges that, but he gave a little too much ice for the shot.
Yeah, Kerry Burtnyk was very quick to acknowledge that he may have groomed him incorrectly.
You know, and that's a sign of a good skip. Because the player down the other end is thinking to himself, did I throw it wide or was I too heavy? Skip acknowledging to give you too much room, so you know the weight was correct. A little bit too much ice to make the shot.
Still a costly miss for Manitoba because Alberta's got the time to tuck another one around that long corner.
Took about 20 feet off.
Here Kevin Park saying he took about 20 feet off. And he just needed to take about 5 or 6 feet off. This is a tough shot because it's on the outside. And this will run very, very straight. As a matter of fact, it may fall back. For our viewers, as this rock is going by the guard, you'll see it even drop off a bit here.
Yeah. Wow! Wow!
See the blue line? Look at how it's falling off past the blue line. Now it's still falling. Just coming a bit now. Look at this.
Just quiet weight, too.
Didn't move it enough for shot, though.
Yeah, I don't think you could do anything more of that.
Got 9 lives.
9 lives, isn't that the fact? And you heard Jeff Ryan say, I couldn't do anything more than that. That means that is a very difficult turn to play there.
So might we anticipate that they will try and take advantage of that position in the ice on later ends and try and get a rock in there?
Sometimes they'll play the in turn and maybe tighten up the ice to go around the guards and maybe just leave a corner open on the outturn side to make them shoot at it. Or hit and roll to that area. They dearly left to see the opposing team playing outturns all day.
Hard! 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 Room! He's there! Room! Wow! Whoa! Just at the end. Yes! Hard!
Good. Great shot.
Excellent shot making by Alberta third Kevin Park.
I had lots of weight when I let it go. Frick. Good shot. Could have been a lot better, though. Yeah. I thought it was just light.
Well, I don't think Manitoba can make a pass at this one. I think they can just come down to it. And that's what Kerry Burtnyk's asking Jeff Ryan to do, to get the rock in play. Boy, he's got to hurry hard on this one.
Hurry!
Kevin Park saying it could have been a lot better. I don't see how. That was just about a pistol. It's above the tee line and forcing Manitoba to play a tough breeze.
Oh, boy.
Manitoba's in a whole lot of trouble now with Alberta lying to and holding last rock advantage, and Kevin Martin is asking for another stone now at the top of the 12 foot.
It's kicking out too late.
Okay, I like that, sure.
Well, he's now changed his mind. Initially, he had tapped the top of the 12.
I think we just better throw it up short just in case he makes a double and roll behind that center guard. Huh?
If we come in, we're just scared they're just going to sneak one. Huh?
A little bit tight.
Not too. Let's go here.
Yeah.
No tighter than that.
Well, I mean, we got to leave him something. I mean, double and roll is a lot easier than this raise. Nobody's played over there yet. It's 3 feet short.
Well, the lesser of two evils. They didn't want to come into the rings and set up a double. If they set up a double, there's a good chance Manitoba could hit and roll. And that's why they're going to protect the two that they have in the rings. It's kind of a defensive move when you're on the offense.
Oh, get off. Yep. Get up, yep. Oh, whoa. Oh, take it. Oh, that's a peak.
Oh. Well, that's if I miss shot. I mean, you couldn't have placed that rock any better.
He has a bit of a sheepish grin there, doesn't he?
I think we get the line. Oh, that sucker's buried, too. Great shot.
You can see enough of it.
I can play the runner, too. The only scary part is he could wiggle in and then we're in trouble.
I like that better, you know. Okay.
Once again, Kerry Burtnyk looking at one pile of yellow rocks.
Yes, he was looking at 3 Alberta stones when he delivered the final rock of the first end, and he's looking at 3 Alberta stones in the rings again on this second end, but he does not have last rock.
Well, what he's trying to do here, Don, he's going to come down and just see if he can maybe skinny that one, and if he rolls in behind the center guards, it's perfect.
There more.
His problem is he can see almost nothing of those yellow rocks.
Boy, he's playing a big hit.
This could be a disastrous end for Manitoba.
Geez, that goes.
Big problem for Kerry Burtnyk now is how does he get out of this?
No, triple's cocked. All you have to do is hit it.
Yeah, it comes back. So guard, and he's going through that intern hole.
No, let's bump it.
Wiggle off.
Huh? Why not? Yeah. For a steal. He's always got the bump for a steal. Mind you, could to run something on it.
We don't want him to steal. For sure.
We could show him a cheek here.
Right here.
Yeah, and then he makes what grade? No, but then he just... No, Donnie. That's too tight. He'll just run it right onto this and he gets the...
Well, I don't mind seeing him throw a raise on a rock that's 8 feet out of the house.
Okay. Want to lit it? Okay.
Well, yeah, lid to biter. He throws a triple, fine.
Well, no, all he has to do is hit that front stone and 3 of ours are gone. It's like it's perfect.
Well, 3-4 feet. We bump it around, we do it wrong, we leave him a double and bury.
Well, that's no good.
That's no good either.
All right, let's guard it.
Let's guard it and let him try to make a shot.
You'll see Don Bartlett come
That's a
down
long
for
range.
strategy discussions a lot.
Okay, and I think this is a great decision by Kevin Martin. I think he wants to put that rock right in that position. He doesn't want to leave it out too far so that give Kerry maybe something to come around. I think this is a great call.
Yeah. He's going to try to knock something out, I'm sure.
Because if he doesn't guard it, Don, Kerry will come down with a quiet tap back and hit and roll behind the center guards. And I think he has to play the guard here. He can't afford to come in the house.
Rope! Don't fall with it.
The line's nice.
Got a curl.
Line's nice. Line's
hard. Come on, push it. Every inch. Quick.
Okay, good.
Hard.
Good.
Kevin was never worried about that rock. He was saying good, but I think in the back of his mind he thought he was a little bit short. Great brushing by the front end of Martin, or Paul and Bartlett. Just pulled that rock over the shot. Hog line, just great sweeping.
Foot raise. That's all he's got.
Those 12-foot raises are never a sure thing either.
I don't know whether he's playing the 12-foot raise. I think he's going to try and come through that hole. I really do. I think he's playing Ice right on the red rock. You see the brush in the forefoot. I think he's going to come down and just try to touch that one and roll in somewhere behind cover. I don't think he minds even if he's not shot rock, as long as he gets in for second. He does not want to give up 4. He doesn't mind giving up 2.
Well, there's enough room for him to sneak between the yellow-handled stone on the right of the center line and the red-handled rock to the left of the center line.
Huge shot for Kerry Burtnyk. You hate to say it could be the game in the second end, but...
Yes!
He is playing the race. Oh,
great shot.
Is it going to stop?
Great shot.
Oh, it is a great shot. It looked to me with the ice that he was taking, Don, that he was going to go through that hole, but obviously he picked out that long raise.
Well, Kevin Park said a 12-foot raise is the only shot he has got, and Kerry Burtnyk made it.
Oh, that could be a game saver. That's an all-Canadian curling shot, I'll tell you that.
That was a pressure shot. That was the...
Long raise?
Well, I think that's... I'm looking at that myself, Kevin.
Well, it's not bad. I can see a hair in this red guard and getting this for this kind of weight.
Think that'll curl in there? How do we try this? Bump it a little. You think it'll curl once it gets past the guard?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Oh, your choice. I think they're both equal degree of difficulty. I think if you hair this guard, you got it.
God, it's totally buried. Call it timeout. Once it's wasting seconds now.
Timeout.
It's rare to see a team call a timeout in the second end.
Crazy. Crazy.
Well, this is a very critical part of this game, Don.
That was a foolish, foolish, foolish guard. Stupid. Geez, I don't like the odds of that intern coming enough.
Oh, I think it will.
You think it will?
Yeah.
Can we throw anything in practice that might...
Your choice if you want to make this 25-foot raise.
Raise. 4. Hey, I don't like the intern chance. No, I don't like that at all.
It's not so much the shot they're concerned about, it's the ice. Whether it'll move enough to make contact with that rock.
It's not that bad a raise, actually.
Yeah. You may as well play it with enough weight to...
You know, I'll play with, like, down weight. Good solid board type stuff. Should hold its own.
Yeah. Okay.
And that, I think ice conditions dictate what shot he plays here. He's going to play the out turn, and it'll run very straight there. May even fall back. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to come down here, clip this one, and drive it at that angle and make contact with that Manitoba rock. But the danger here, of course, is the ice. I might play the intern because he just played the intern down there and come across the face of it and drive it at that angle.
And as Kerry Burtnyk and Jeff Ryan realize, very little room for error for Kevin Martin on this shot. He has to make an almost perfect shot.
Yep. Oh, whoa! Oh, it's falling. Hey, guys. I'll call what I want. That was a crazy guard. Let me just call the game down. That was a stupid guard. As you know, if he makes one, we're dead, eh?
Well, Kevin Martin wasn't really convinced that he should play the guard on the first stone of this end, and that's the rock that got him into trouble as he surrenders a steal of 1, and Manitoba leads by 2 after 2.
Many traits combine to make a good curler: creativity, innovation, and dedication. I'm Russ Howard, and throughout this series, I'd like to share with you a few of the tips that have helped make me successful. Curling is a game of inches. To consistently get the stones down where you want them every single time, try concentrating on your release. A full handshake position at the end of your release will allow proper spin all the way down.
Now, from the Purex pillow people at Scott Paper, new noticeably softer Purex bathroom tissue. You'll see and feel the difference in every two-ply sheet. It's so much softer, so much smoother. Pillowy soft, regular, and jumbo Purex. Now, noticeably softer. We've made history on Canadian roads for years. Now we're looking to the future. Introducing the new Ford Explorer. The only leading sport utility with standard dual airbags. The one with the roomiest interior. The only one with control track, which provides four-wheel drive traction automatically. The new Ford Explorer. Far and away the best the world has to offer.
We know you don't lose any sleep over bathroom tissue, but we know you do care enough to give your family the softness they deserve. So at Scott Paper, we keep making sure that's Cottonelle. Today's two-ply Cottonelle is our softest, thickest ever. And we're proud, even a little excited, that families keep choosing Cottonelle quality. Like we've always said, you can feel the cottony softness.
As the thermometer drops, dangerous crystals can form in your car's engine, threatening to shorten its life. That's why today's Quaker State has engineered intelligent oil. Oil that senses the changing threats in your engine and adapts its own molecular structure for continuous protection. Whenever the driving conditions change, so does Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
Two teams looking to engrave their name for the second time on the Labatt Brier Tankard in a semifinal battle. Manitoba leads 2-0. What a great shot with his final stone by Kerry Burtnyk. A 12-foot raise to become shot. And during the break, a very light-hearted moment between the two skips. Kevin Martin said to Kerry Burtnyk, you know, I gave you a shot that was really a difficult shot. And he says, you made it. I hate it when that happened.
Yeah,
Kerry just
really
laughed and said, well, it wasn't easy.
But I think you heard Kevin say to Don Bartlett, let me call my own game. Let me call my own game. And I agree with that. You can maybe take suggestions from your front end, but the skip is the ultimate guy who has to throw the last rock, who has to decide. And I think his problem with that last rock is that it was a foot over the hog line. I think it was still the right shot if he gets it in tighter, Don, because then if he has to play the race, it's not that big a race for him.
And let's not forget, Kevin did solicit advice from his teammates, too. So, I mean, they've helped him all year with some of those decisions. And he listened to them. I think it was just bad placement. A foot, it was too long a guard. If it was a little tighter, it would have been an easier race for him to make.
Well, Kevin was saying that he wants to call the shots, make the decision. Kerry Burtnyk might have been saying to his ring, hey, guys, I'm tired of looking at 3 every time I go to throw.
That's right. Exactly right. I mean, Kevin made all the right decisions the first 2 ends except for one rock, and I think that was the right call. It just maybe a little bit too light.
Of course, those 2 rocks are both in the free guard zone, so they can't be hit. Because viewers might be wondering why, with Burtnyk with a 2-point lead, would he not play a takeout on that? But because they're outside the rings and in between the hog line, they have to stay.
The free guard zone was introduced for the 1994 championship season. And there's been a dramatic reduction in the number of blank ends and an increase in the number of stolen ends since the FGZ rule came into effect.
Certainly has made for a more interesting game. Even Kevin Martin was one of the opponents to it when it came into effect, and he said he didn't want it. He loved the hitting game, but now he loves the free guard zone.
Well, I think you're never out of the game as long as the free guard zone is there. I mean, as long as there's rocks out in play, if you're 1 down coming home, you still got a shot at it because there's automatically going to be 2 rocks out in front.
Don Bartlett trying for 2. He drives the guard through the rings. The shot stone remains at the top of the 8th. Well, under the free guard zone in the game between Saskatchewan and Manitoba last night, trailing 5-2 with 2 ends remaining, In the previous years, there was very little hope that Manitoba would be able to fight back, but they were able to force an extra end before losing to Brad Height of Saskatchewan.
That's true. And that's how you can get back in the game. It just takes one center guard or one corner guard, and you're back in the game.
Mine's good. Wait.
Of course, Manitoba here would dearly love to steal another point. They're playing in the center of the sheet, in the 4-foot area, and that's where Manitoba wants to play, because if that area gets congested, it's going to be very difficult for Kevin Martin to get more than one in that area.
Of course, Al Hackner would probably suggest that Kerry Burtnyk didn't need a free guard zone to score 3 on the 10th end to win 5-4 back in 1981 in this very same facility.
There must be a certain karma in this building for Burtnyk that he's able to escape a couple of seemingly inescapable situations.
Yes, in 81, 3 in the final to defeat Al Hackner, 3 in the 10th end.
And I'd say he just escaped last end.
Yes. Maybe the last 2 ends, Colin.
That's right. If he punches that rock another foot further, I think Kevin Martin's got a free draw for 3. So, I mean, that was just an outstanding shot. You know, there's always the danger you're going to hit it on the high side or across the face and drive it into the open. But it was just a super shot.
Hurry hard now.
And because Burtnyk was able to steal one in the last end, that changes the way Kevin Martin is going to play now. He has to be even a little more aggressive. He didn't get the 2 with last rock that he was looking for, or maybe 3 or even 4 last end.
That's correct. He has to be more aggressive.
Like Hack, wait.
He cannot afford to give Kerry another point, because if Kerry gets 3 up, it's very difficult to come back on this ice because the ice is so straight. So you have to be very careful. There's 5 rocks in play here, but it just takes one really great shot, and all of a sudden you're back in the game. So
true, but it's a really big downer when you think you're going to score 4 in an end and be up 4-1, and suddenly you're down 2-0.
Is he going to get through the hole? Ooh!
Oh, he got through the hole, but it actually fell back and hit the outside guard. But a good position because he rolled behind the corner guard. Now that's a good call by Kevin Martin, because he planned that. I mean, if he goes through the hole, makes a shot, great. He got a chance to rub off one of the others. And that rock ended up in a great position. You heard Kerry saying, we have shot rock. Still half behind cover. Nice thing for Manitoba is that rock is behind the 2 line, so for Jeff Ryan, he can come right down with the base out and be lying too. The rock is curling big time.
Well, that isn't the worst thing that could have happened.
No, it certainly isn't, because he rolled right behind
just
cover.
Back line, Kev's good. Or even a little more. Hair more than back line. Try to bump it to here.
Now, the difficulty for Kevin Park here is that he's playing a turn that will not move very much.
Just through.
So he's going to have to play just through weight, like you said, back ring weight. Try to hit a half a rock, roll behind cover. But the danger here is the ice. Will it curl for him at the end?
Well,
Will it finish?
We certainly saw in the first end Jeff Ryan throwing that out turn here, and he said that's about as well as I could have thrown it, and he only just barely made contact with the rock and didn't remove it.
Hard. Quick. Hurt. Quick. Harder.
Hard all the way. All the way. Oh.
That'll work.
No real damage done. Manitoba still has shots to him.
No good, Donnie. No good.
You hear Kevin Park saying, no good, no good.
Dang, he's got to be able to sweep those by.
I kind of thought you were going to get by.
Well, I think they thought maybe it would straighten up for him just at the end, and he would have got by. For Jeff Ryan, exactly the same shot. They're going to play a little bit stronger, wait and try to move that rock out. It's a little bit in the open. As the guard was moved over with his first one. Good hit. Oh, a nice little roll to the inside.
Now Kevin Martin is looking at 3.
Finally. Thanks. Boy, it's sure going hard to the outside.
Jeff has been struggling in this game. He says finally about that one because he's gotten all the unlucky rubs.
Well, where he rolled to, it may be a savior for Alberta because the rock is behind the tee line. And if Kevin Park can get it in there, he'll be shot rock. Behind cover and frozen against an opposing team's rock.
Every time when Kevin Park gets set to throw, he does exactly the same thing. He spins that rock.
Well, that's a habit, but it's also to make sure that there's nothing underneath it, you know? A piece of straw or a piece of debris, and he does that. You know, but all of a sudden when he spins it, it grinds, he knows there's something underneath it.
It's good. Easy. Room.
Line's good.
Room. Room.
It's there. Hurt line.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. No.
Yeah. So we don't have shot rock.
Well, that's right. I think they should have swept that one. Kevin wanted to sweep it. Kevin Park knew he was heavy, I guess, and that's why he was calling the no sweep. But by being a little bit heavy, Don, it pulled over a little bit more than he thought it would, and he ended up being second shot rock. So for Kerry Burtnyk, he can come down to that one and still lie, too. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to, if he can, hold Alberta to one, or if he steals another one, so much the better for him. And that way he'll be one up with playing the even ends, and that's what he's really targeting here.
Easy weight.
Now, we talked about rock time and how long it takes a stone to slide the length of the ice. Different teams have different means of timing the stone. Some time only from hog line to hog line.
Well, we talked about that. That's what the Martin team does, hog line to hog line. I like hog line to tee line because that's where the rock is going to end up. You might as well time it that far. I mean, what do? Go hog line to hog line and say, okay, it's another 5 seconds to the ice?
It really is whatever you get used to, but on this ice, there's been several different draw weights that you have to have. Nice little shot.
He was looking for the roll, and he gets it.
Oh, that is a great shot. If it had been a little bit quieter, pulled over a little bit more, he would have stayed behind all those rocks. He's lying for, and that's the big thing.
Shot, Kerry.
You know, Kerry Burtnyk is at 81% through 2 ends. But the shot he made on the second end is worth a lot more than 4 points.
Maybe we could try it, I guess. Practice it for next time.
I agree, Don. You should factor in the degree of difficulty big time in both of his last rocks in the opening 2 ends.
Should be like a diving competition. The degree of difficulty should have a bearing on the percentage.
I think so. Well, it does in a way.
Let's change the rules.
It does in a way. Every rock is scored on a 4-point system. So if you make the rock shot, you get 4 points. And if it's a really difficult shot, they'll give you 5. But I think Burtnyk's last rock in the second end was worth about a 10.
That's the difference of being up 2-0 versus down 4-1 or maybe 5-1. I mean, that's a big turnaround.
Yeah, it could have been game, set, and match right there.
And for a change, Martin's facing a sea of red this time.
So the momentum has changed in Manitoba's favor, and that's the result of Kerry's great raise.
Quick! Hard for line. Hard! Push! Push it! Quick! Quick! Hard, 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 hard!
Oh, talk about fine shot making. That's a pretty nice stone by Kevin Martin to become shot.
Boy, did they brush that hard to get it by the guard. His weight was a little bit down. He wanted to be a little bit deeper. But let me tell you, Paul and Bartley did an outstanding job of getting that rock there. Because this is a straight turn. And you can see it, just a great shot. It's 1/10 buried there.
Yeah, we're right now back.
But look where the brush is being held by Jeff Ryan. It's right in the center of the rock. If you ever turn it a bit, you're on the guard. If you ever float it out against the broom, you're going to miss it.
And he also wants to be careful not to jam it back on that back red one.
But if he hits and sits right there, oh boy, then Kevin Martin's going to have to play the out-turn draw. And you're going out wider, different ice conditions. Big shot for Kerry.
Oh, right off. Stay close. Whoa, hip. Whoa, yeah. Hip. Whoa, whoa.
Oh, picks it right out of there. And you heard Kevin Martin with his first one. We might as well try this because I'll probably have to throw it with my second, and he's absolutely right. Absolutely correct.
Yeah, there are many times the first stone on an end isn't necessarily a waste stone, but it's one you almost have to throw because you know the second one will follow an almost identical path.
It's called a tracer. You throw it down there, and you'll have to hope to trace it the next time. Brush on the edge of the forefoot, trying to draw to the edge of the forefoot.
A little fuller. Where's the weight?
Kevin Martin looking at 4 Manitoba stones.
Lots of room, lots of room.
Weight there.
Just keeping it clean. He's got beautiful line. Nice looking weight. Into the 8. To the 4. Is it going to stop it? Oh. Look at that thing go. Oh, no, Manitoba might have stole 2, maybe 3.
Manitoba might have stolen 3. 1 for sure. And almost certainly a measurement will be required. Those 2 red Manitoba stones.
2 for sure, I think. And look, 2. There's 2. Oh boy, a brushing error.
They didn't really brush it that much, though, Don.
They were brushing it. Let me tell you, and it was on the straight turn. You know, the rock is going to carry. When the rock is not curling, it's going to carry a lot further. It's a little bit of a brushing error there, I think.
When the rock was coming in across the hog line, Kevin Martin thought the weight was fine. You heard him say, the weight's fine. And that rock just continued to slide.
What? I have no idea.
2 for sure for Manitoba. Will it be 3?
Gone. Son of a bitch.
There you see the measurement being taken. The disc is on top with...
Oh, should never have thrown that guard in a million years. Stupid. Shouldn't have got talked into it.
God. Kevin Martin still angry about that guard in the second end.
Yes, he's still reflecting back to the second end when he really had an opportunity to put Manitoba in some serious trouble.
It's the yellow one. I think it's only 2 for Manitoba. What? No, he pushed the yellow one back. It is the red one, I guess. 3 big ones.
A steal of 3 for Manitoba on end number 3. So Kerry, Burtnyk, and the top team in round-robin play are off to a big start in this Brier semifinal.
Do you dream in color? In bottomless blues and screaming yellows? In sounds that shake you to the bottom of your heart? In images clear as crystal and brilliant as ice? In faraway worlds as close as your fingertips? These are what dreams and Sony Trinitron televisions are made of. Make one come true for you. It's your life. Isn't it worth a Sony?
Kevin Martin took a detour on his way to an oil business career. Instead, he discovered curling success.
I took petroleum exploration in school. And I would have went into exploration more than into the curling if we don't win. But all of a sudden, we win the Canadian Junior. We show well at the Worlds. You know, things are going along pretty good in that way. And I enjoy the curling club atmosphere. All those things combined ended up curving my direction away from petroleum into a sport. So I suppose that, you know, that was huge. You know, it totally changed the direction of my life. Definitely winning the juniors that year.
5 years after being a runner-up at the World Juniors, Kevin's Edmonton rink stunned the Brier field as a rookie entry, capturing the tankard.
When we won the Brier the first time, we had never even won a Northern Alberta zone, you know. So it was just kind of all of a sudden, we're brand new into men's curling and we win the Brier, which is ridiculous. The next year we get back to the Brier and not too bad a showing. We lost to Howard in the semis. And now, 2 years without being there, we played well, didn't win, lost lots of stuff. So you grow up a bit, and of course you're older anyways, and so your priorities change, and the way you act, and the way you think about all kinds of things, not only curling, but everything else. And it just makes a big difference. And now I think we're, as a team and each player is just more mature, that's all.
For Martin's young family, son Kerry, daughter Kalisha, along with his wife Shauna, he'd like to point his youngsters in the direction of curling.
It's a good game. It's good, especially in the years when they're developing and growing up. It's a terrific crowd to be with. You're going to learn a lot of good things from it.
Martin takes his lessons from some of the game's veterans, but prefers shot-making to strategy.
At 28, I still don't know nearly what like an Ed Lukowich, Ed Wernick, Rick Folk, any of these guys would know. But because of the youth, there's a way of like making it up on the percentage board, trying to outshoot them, because there's no possible way that I can outthink them.
He says he hasn't lost enough to benefit from the experience, but that says a lot about just how good this Kevin Martin rink really is.
Well, Kevin Martin is undoubtedly still reflecting back on end number 2, where it looked as though he was going to pick up 3, maybe even 4. Instead, he surrendered a steal of 1. But, you know, when you talk about this champion from the province of Alberta and the record he has put together over the last few years, this year, for example, they won 17 and lost 1 to start the year. Then they won 33 games in a row before losing to Ed Wernick in a cash spiel. And then they went on another roll that carried through to the provincial playdown. So the Alberta champions from the Otwell Curling Club are certainly one of the dominant rinks in the entire country.
Well, we have said this for many years, that there's usually 1 or 2 ends in a curling game dictates whether you win or lose, or 1 or 2 shots. And you can always remember the bad ones you make, never the good ones, always the bad ones. And I think if Kevin Martin goes down to defeat here, he'll look at that that guard that he threw in the second end, far too long, and the one in the third end with the brushing. I think he felt that he had the draw weight. Guys put a little bit too much brush on it. Rings being a little bit livelier now. Rock is sliding better. I think they might have just misjudged it. But don't count them out.
No, don't count them out.
I mean, anybody that wins 33 games in a row, you know they're capable.
Well, during the week, we saw them rack up a couple of 5-enders.
Yes. And the danger here is, of course, your free guard zone. You're always in the game. I mean, so you get 2 here, give them 1 the next, the other team 1 the next, then get 2. You know, before you know it, you're back in it. With the free guard zone, you never let up.
Coincidentally, yesterday in the quarterfinal game, Alberta jumped out to the 5-0 lead on Ed Wernick before going on to an 8-4 win. Now the shoe's on the other foot.
Well, to generate offense here, Kevin Martin will keep a lot of rocks on play on. He'll move the rocks around in the house, but I don't think you'll see him playing many strong hits. Even, look, it's here. Now you've got 2 guards out in front, 1 very tight to the ring, belonging to Manitoba, 1 in the 4-foot. He's just going to come down to it. Manipulate the rocks around where he has a shot, maybe to angle raise to get to.
Line's good.
And this, I mean, if it works, it's great, but if it doesn't, you're finished early. You're toast.
Well, with the free guard zone, we have seen more stolen ends over the last 2 years compared to when there was no free guard zone.
You know, folks,
He threw the same weight.
Huh?
He just threw the same weight as his first one.
And conversely, for Manitoba, Kerry Burtnyk, this is not the type of game you want to play when you're 5 up. You'd just love to blast them all and, you know, draft by all these guys and just get out of here and win the game. But now, all of a sudden, you're winning 5-0, and there's 4 rocks in play.
First 4 stones of the end are all in play. Here comes the 5th rock of the end by second Rob Meakin.
He could, if he wanted to, say to himself, well, I'm going to peel now. But by the same token, he's also saying to himself, I've got a chance to steal again and put the game well out of reach.
Well, he does have the shot stones sitting in the 4-foot. And the more stones, the bigger the wall that develops up front, the more difficult it's going to be for Martin to get to. And that wall is beginning to look rather formidable right now.
Well, there's an opening there, and Kevin Martin can get through it, but now he's going to... try a very strange area in the ice. Nobody's played a rock out this far. This is the one where he had a chance to come down and hit the Manitoba rock in the second end, so he's going to find out how it runs now.
The guard by Meekin wound up in a great spot because it's blocked both raises on those long yellow guards.
But now with this stone, is he playing for 1 or 2 shots ahead?
No, he's trying to get it in somewhere in position, but they're not doing anything.
Something here.
Kevin's starting to scratch his head.
As soon as you get outside the blue area on your screen, it gets just a tad heavier.
We had to play that hole.
The way things are going on this end, we might see all 16 stones in play.
This has been a really interesting game.
Oh, boy.
Alberta dominated those first
something.
2 ends.
This rock picked up something.
Bring it over.
Well, halfway down, it just made a sudden right turn. I think there's something going on out here. The guy says, I don't like it. It's too quiet. Now we'll see for James Paul here. He threw his first one.
Working. We could have made that shot in the second end.
And, you know, I know it's a bad thing in the second end, and it's unfortunate it happened, but you're only down 2-0. You got to forget about that. That's toast. Your history about those 2 ends.
Don't wait.
Now for Kevin, James Paul here, he just drew this first one down here. We'll see what his weight's like here.
Jesus Christ, not hard enough. God, okay. How many guards do we need?
A few less than are out there right now, Kevin.
That's right. It just...
Yeah, he didn't throw much more than his first one.
That's right. James Paul with his first one was light. He could have, you know, especially when he's forcing a rock into the rings, pushing it forward. You think it'd pull a little bit more and play a little bit more weight on, but he did.
Right up.
I mean, never mind throwing a rock through all these rocks up front. Pretty soon they won't be able to walk through here. There's so many rocks up there.
Well, that last stone might have effectively eliminated almost any raise combinations.
There is no angles up there except for the far right-hand side rock belonging to Martin.
Red for the in turn onto the 3.
Well, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, pump it into the ring. We just got to get something in the ring. That's a good one for my last one. I like hack to board, something like that. Go with hacks, Kev. Nothing more than hacks.
Well, he wants to get something started here, and he's going to play a Burtnyk rock or a Manitoba rock.
We're making you shoot now.
Onto a yellow one and hope to get it in play.
You enjoy this, yeah? Well, you can buy me a rye after this, yeah.
No, I can't say that I enjoy this.
No, that's right.
Too many possibilities.
That's right. I'll tell you what, if Kerry gets out of this and scores a point, I'm sure he'll throw the next one right through the rings. He doesn't want any of this.
Wow. 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 No.
A double raise is what they're looking for.
It's a little too big. All right.
Oh, boy. Nothing's happening now for Alberta.
That was hack the board.
Want to play this? Yeah. Sort of play it back here. I want you to have enough to move over. Okay.
I love the tattered broom of Jeff Ryan.
Dad's seen better days.
His brother has a similar one.
Now, Jeff Ryan has thrown one down here, Don, in the second end. Exactly the same spot, so he should know that it's going to run very, very straight for him. Let me tell you something. Things are not working for Alberta, but things are definitely working in Manitoba's favor because he was trying to hit that on the high side and drive it in. Hit it on the inside. Beautiful roll.
And it took away one of the angle possibilities where Kevin Martin could play a possible circus shot off the red stone onto the shot rock sitting in the forefront.
That was the big danger.
Well, he could still push that yellow stone back onto the top red stone and could spill them both, actually, if he hit it right.
Well, they're just trying to hit this rock on the nose, move it back, get something in play. Any kind of a yellow rock in the rings.
No. Would be good at a time like that.
Hit! Hard! 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 Jeez!
Good shot. Excellent shot.
Boy, he came close to making a beauty.
He really did. It just curled a fraction too much for him.
What's happened to the hold on the sweep?
Yeah, we just lost that, eh? Hey? Just a hair straighter and you got it.
Well, that's the second time that Kevin Park seems to feel that sweeping might have changed the running course of the rock just slightly.
Well, it's tough to judge, you know. You're playing and you think it's going to run straight, and all of a sudden it breaks and the sweepers are not on it. It's very difficult to get back on it and try to hold it straight. These are tough sweeping conditions for everybody. Kerry's got a tough shot here, way out against the board. Nobody's ever thrown one out this far. That thing, look at it sliding.
Falling into the board.
Falling into the boards.
It just hung enough. Stayed just fractionally away from the sideboards, and he drove out the Alberta rock. Manitoba lies 1. It looked for a moment as though that stone was going to fall right into the boards.
That's quite a wall out there, isn't it? The nice thing for Martin, they're all his rocks, but he's trying to go through this hole rod. And even if he gets a little bit of a rub off that high one, he may roll into the rings.
How likely have enough weight? Just gotta get through that hole.
Good line, yep. Tight. Tight. Hard. Hard. Oh, off. Whoa. Whoa.
Ah, floating back. Take the wick.
Whoa. Come on. Push hard. Push it. Come on, everybody. Come on.
Well, Kevin Martin got a bit of a break there as he rolled in to become shot.
Could have been shot.
Well, that was
a foot.
That was there all the time.
Kerry Burtnyk isn't totally convinced, but from the overhead camera, it does look as though the Yellowstone is shot.
Yes, it looks to me like they're 7/10 into the ring, Don, and the red one at the back. But he can come down to his own and be shot.
Some kidding between Burtnyk and Martin earlier, and you heard Kerry Burtnyk say, even though he had that stone in the forefoot, I don't like this type of an end.
No, he really doesn't. You know, and I said that earlier. This is not the type of game you want to play when you're up 5 points.
Did he up it a little out there?
Yeah, probably half.
That's it?
You heard Kerry conversing with Fenton and Meekin saying, did he up it out there, talking about Martin's draw? And you heard Fenton and Meekin say, yeah, about a half a second, Craig, which means it's a half a second slower out here.
Whoa, line. Whoa, yeah. 3. How's the weight? Whoa, if you can. Whoa, if you can.
Oh, he's a beautiful line.
Whoa, wait for it. Wait for it. Whoa, whoa. Come on.
Oh, that's a great shot. That's a great shot, Don, because he was actually drawing around the guard, falling against the turn that he was throwing, which means it wasn't curling, it was actually drifting from the intended target. Yeah. So for Kevin Martin...
Not much more. Boy, oh boy.
Okay, for Kevin Martin, the key here is weight. He just wants to come down here, and he hopes to get a little bit of movement on, but he's just going to push this rock right back into that area. any more...
I'll have to throw hacks to get 2, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, a little less.
Any more than that, Don, he may fall against the turn and just clip half of it and roll out and only get 1.
He was just reconfirming with Kevin Park the weight he had to throw to try and get 2 on this end. This is the final stone of the 4th end with Alberta trailing 5-0.
Whoa! Whoa!
Oh.
You heard him yelling, whoa, right away.
Oh.
Whoa! He also can't afford to let his shooter roll too far.
He's well by the guard. Now he's got to hope that it does a little bit of curling or finishing.
Get up, come on! Just push him out of the way. Push him right on the next sheet. Don't matter. Just get in there.
Did he push it far enough for 1?
It looks as though he's got 1.
I think we got 1 out of it.
And I think Jeff Ryan is going to agree.
Jeff, or are you joking?
Oh, you heard Kevin Martin say to Jeff Ryan, are you serious or are you joking, Jeff, about measuring that? And Jeff says, no, I'm serious. I mean, absolutely. You never know. You know, that center hole that's drilled, is it a little off center? Could make a big difference when they're measuring.
In the second end would have been, too. He's a foot wide and it still curls.
Well, they are going to measure to see which is shot, but from the overhead view, it appears as though the yellow stone is the shot rock.
You see the overhead there? You see where the needle is? Watch the needle jump. Almost 3/4 jump on that needle. By the indicator needle. Now you go over here. Doesn't touch that one, so yellow one is definitely shot. And doesn't touch that one, so yellow is definitely shot.
Yes, the overhead camera seemed to indicate that the yellow stone was shot rock, and in fact it was. So Alberta is finally on the board, but they trail by 4 after 4.
A brand new Ford Contour. That was the top prize available to this best field in Brier history as the players competed in the Ford Hot Shots, a skills competition of 6 different shots. Hit and stay, draw to the button, draw to the port, the raise, the hit and roll, and finally the dreaded double. And it came down to just 2 curlers. Saskatchewan's Brad Height trailing Ed Wernick of Ontario by just 1 point. He needed to score at least 2 to take the lead. He'd make the hit and then roll behind the second stone and score none. Brad Height would hand the Ford Contour to Ontario's Ed Wernick. Congratulations to the Ontario skip, Ed Wernick, who picks up the keys to a brand new Ford Contour. Runners-up received Sony products. Sony, the one and only.
Personal computers. Everybody wants one or already has one, but how long does it take to get up and running? Too long if you're reading manuals and too expensive if you take classroom courses. Here's the perfect solution. Introducing the #1 video teacher for computers. The fast, easy way to learn how to use a computer. You get a detailed introduction to the PC and professional instruction on the most popular programs like Windows 3.1 and Excel. With the #1 video teacher, you'll learn the easy way. No fancy words or jargon, and you can learn at your own pace. Call now and get this valuable instructional video for this incredibly low price. But that's not all. We'll also send you a second video. You'll learn MS Word for Windows, QuickBooks, and WordPerfect for Windows too. Now the computer skills demanded by today's top employers are at your command. So why pay over $75 for other instructional videos? You can learn everything you need to know with the #1 video teacher. You get 6 valuable programs, over 4.5 hours of professional instruction for just $24.95. That's 2 videos for the price of 1. Call and get started today with the #1 video teacher for computers. Order now.
I see myself in this car, solid, not fragile. This is Jane's car. Nothing fancy, nothing parallel or anything, just park. All I can see is highway swerving up and down and just wait for them to happen to notice, oh, is that Jane driving by in that beautiful new car? And then just drive away.
CIBC Personal Vision Banking and Car Ownership. To see how to get the credit you've earned, see your CIBC personal banker or call us.
And I can see where I'm going. I see where I want to be.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
Welcome back to the Metro Center in Halifax as Don Bartlett delivers the first stone of end number 5 with Alberta trailing Manitoba by a score of 5-1. The winner will advance to the final tomorrow against Brad Height of Saskatchewan. I don't know whether Kevin Park realized just how prophetic he was when you look back at the second end of this game. And when Kerry Burtnyk was getting set to throw his final stone, he said, all he's got is a 12-foot raise. We don't want him stealing one here, but this is a tough shot. Kerry Burtnyk made it, and the steal of one may eventually decide the outcome of this game.
Well, you know, that's fact. I mean, you do not want to leave people like Kevin Martin, Kerry Burtnyk, tough shots, because a lot of times, and I'm talking about all the top rivers, they'll make them on you. I mean, you have to defense as best you can. You obviously can't cover every angle or every guard or every port, but I mean, you got to figure out what he's going to do and maybe force him to a side of the sheet where nobody's played before. That's the best thing you can do.
How disheartening is it when it looks as though you're going to get 3 for sure and maybe even 4 when you give up one?
Well, they used to have big ashtrays alongside of the sheet. Used to get very sick of them.
You can tell from Alberta just how disheartening it is. I mean, they keep referring to that guard, too. We're hearing it on their wireless.
3 ends later.
It up.
Yes. You got to forget about that. It's like a bad shot in golf. You get to the next hole and tee it up, and away you go again. And
that's my problem.
But if you keep harping on it, keeps festering, and you're losing your concentration.
Well, Alberta has the shot stone sitting in the back of the 8-foot, and Kevin Martin is going to try and cover it up from second James Paul.
Well, they had last rock. First 4 ends, done nothing with it. Maybe we'll see when they don't have last rock. Maybe they'll generate some offense.
During the summer months, James is a drag racer in Edmonton. He and his father race a 66 Coronet at Capital Raceway. He said any money he makes on the cash spiel circuit in the winter subsidizes the drag racing experience in the summer.
And the other 3 members of the Albertan rink were thrilled to win their 3rd provincial title for James, because he's a first-time Brier participant.
And James has really been struggling with his draw weight. The last and 2 in-turn draws, granted in a very new area of the ice. He pulled up short twice. This time he's a little bit too tight, because now Manitoba can get out of this end by making a good shot here, making a double. As a result of James coming in too tight to the ring.
Bob Meekum removes the Alberta stone, and the shooter stays at the top of the 12.
Martin will just ignore that and keep trying to get his center guard up there in order to steal the end.
That's right. He's playing very aggressive here, and he's doing a lot of gambling. You know, he could hit that one on the side and say, okay, I'll exchange rocks and give Kerry one, but he knows he can't afford to do that. He has to try and steal and generate some offense here. So he's continued to throw the guards up, hoping to get one in the 4-foot area and maybe steal a point. Then it's 5-2, and then go on to the next thing.
He's got no choice, but the danger is that Burtnyk might be able to score 2 or 3 this end.
The nice thing about it for Kerry Burtnyk, his ice is very straight, so when you're playing takeouts, you know, you put the brush right on the edge of the rock or in the center of the rock, so good weight. The ice is very lively. It's very easy to peel here.
Meekin, of course, was a second stone, won the Canadian mixed title a couple of years ago with Jeff Stoughton.
And again, Kevin Martin calling for the same shot. You know, when we heard from him and he talked about his life outside of curling and how the game affected some of his decisions back in 1986, he won was runner-up in the World Junior Championship. And that was held just across the harbor in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. He lost to David Aitken of Scotland. that year. In 1985, he had won the Canadian Junior Championship in St. John's, Newfoundland.
He and his wife came back to Nova Scotia, too, last year for a golfing vacation, so they were thrilled when they won the provincials to be able to come back to Halifax. They love the lobster, I guess.
Don't we all?
And for Kevin Park, once again, the rock too tight to the ring is gone, and there's a chance here for Jeff Ryan to make a double. Manitoba could end up lying 2.
Yeah, yeah. 3.
That was the danger of coming in. You know what? That rock is, excuse me, a foot out front of the ring, so you can't do that.
Pat Ryan and Father Glenn watching the action. Pat would much sooner be down at ice level, but I'm sure he is pulling for Jeff in this semifinal match, and if they manage to get through it in the final tomorrow against Brad Height of Saskatchewan.
We interviewed Pat, and he was very reflective and thoughtful about his brother Jeff and possibly winning the Brier. And while he would like to be in it, he really, really wants to see Jeff win, more so than himself. He says he's won it enough. Both Pat Ryan and Rick Lang with the chance of winning 4 Briers when they came into Halifax at the beginning of the week, which of course would have put them in very elite company. Instead, they're still stuck with the 3-time winners like Don Duguid.
It's the right weight. A good shot. Yeah, good shot.
Well, they took that rock at Kevin Park's deep because they thought it would bury, but it actually hung out a little bit of it on the corner. And this one, like Jeff Ryan, is really curling big time, but he's certainly going to open it up.
Get it right up. Whole bunch of nibblers.
Oh, bunch of nibblers is right. Those are the annoying kind.
Better guard that thing good.
You cannot afford to make a mistake now, I'll tell you that.
One that's cut? That's the same one that's cutting all the time? Okay? Yeah?
Kerry and Jeff are talking about, they think Jeff has got a cutter, meaning maybe a rock that's a little sharper and will curl a lot more.
Well, it is perplexing because that out turn really took off on him.
Well, there is a little gamesmanship when it comes to selecting rocks and the color of handle you want.
13.5.
Because they finished in first place, Manitoba had the first choice of rocks, and they opted for the red-handled stones off sheet B.
Yes.
Now, Alberta went over to another sheet and also chose red-handled stones, but switched to the yellow handles. They just changed the handles, but they got the stones they wanted for this game.
Yeah, they both picked the rocks that they wanted, so they're quite happy.
Yeah, keep her going. Right up.
Hurry. Come on, quick. Hurry.
Oh, that's a long guard. There's lots of room between that guard and the shot rock at the back of the 8-foot. Kerry just has to decide how much ice that he's going to need to take that one out or play a cold draw.
Yeah.
What Kerry Burtnyk's going to try and do, he's going to try to pull this rock in here, Don. Just try to get shot rock and maybe bury it behind that center guard. If he's got enough weight, they'll move it right back onto this one here and try to push it out of the house. But the key is pulling it in around the center guard. And he's taking no ice at all. He just got about maybe about a foot of ice from that long center guard. The nice thing about it, he's got 4 biters. 3 biters. If he hits this one and rolls, he'll have 4. 4 stones in the ring, and a 4-point lead. He's really got control. This is the same path that Kevin Martin threw down in the third end. Was a little bit heavy. Look at that rock hang up there. It is not finishing at all. It's not moving.
But it does become shot stone.
Where do you hit the broom at?
It's for big man.
Yeah. Why don't you just inside the edge of the forefoot? Should be good.
For Kevin Martin, he wants to come down here and he wants to make contact with this and
back
get a
line.
little bit of roll into this area behind that center guard. If he does that, there's a good chance he could steal one and possibly two this end. This is a big shot for Kevin, not only from making the shot, Don, but from getting back in this game. Of course, if he hits it on the high side, he could drive it on the one in the back belonging to himself. Manitoba will have a free draw for 5. And that's why he's playing it very, very quiet. Sweepers control this run. Holy cow.
The ice must be changing.
Yeah, the ice or the rocks, but I mean, it looked like he had lots of weight. They were worried about line, and then all of a sudden it just dug in. Strange is right, Kevin. I can't believe it.
Shauna Martin.
Can't believe I threw that less.
Watching and
through.
I guess like
2 ends ago.
Kevin can't believe what she's witnessing.
Well, you know, I'm not going to make excuses for Kevin, and Kevin wouldn't want me to make excuses for him, but Don, but when was the last time you saw a curler of this caliber on a takeout pull up short, you know, just tap it back a foot and a half?
Oh, we'll throw him back. See if we can get a deuce.
The final stone of the 5th end.
Come on, got something. Hurry!
Very early, Kerry yelled at the sweepers to get on it because the stone he felt caught something.
Hard all the way! Hard all the way! Come on, hurry it! Never leave it! Come on, hurry, guys! Hurry hard!
That was great brushing.
Oh, beautiful brushing by Benton and Meekin. That's great.
So Kerry Burtnyk comes through, drawing the 4 with his final stone of the 5th end. And wife Patty applauds the efforts, and a 7-1 Manitoba lead.
5:23 a.m. and Benny's getting his regular early morning long distance discount to Montreal. But look how much more he'd save with Unitel over the big guys. Later, during peak hours, Chantel would save more with Unitel on calls to mom in Miami. Why? Well, because Unitel always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular long distance rates to anywhere in North America. Round the clock, every day of the week. That means 25% savings on top of those regular time of day discounts you wait up for every night and every weekend. So, Raj would save more on his calls from London, Ontario to Vancouver anytime. Lucille would save more to Butte, Montana. Where is Montana anyway? Ah, there it is, located, you'll note, in North America, where Unitel Long Distance always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular rates and off those time of day discounts. So why pay more? Call 1-800-575-3000 and join those savvy consumers who joined Unitel to get quality long distance for less.
Forget rubbing and polishing silver, brass, and copper. Clean quickly and safely with the amazing product used by museums worldwide. Their secret is the patented Quicksilver cleaning plate. In hot water, simply dissolve washing soda. No, it's not ready yet, but watch this. Insert the Quicksilver electrolytic plate. Touch any tarnished item to it, and in seconds, it's sparkling. Clean many objects together with no smell or tainting. Pieces are instantly table ready. Quicksilver also cleans quality brass and copper, and especially gold, fine jewelry, even precious stones. Look how Quicksilver cleans intricate patterns that trap other cleaners. Simply revolve large items. Where water flows, it cleans. Quicksilver is environmentally safe and lasts for years. No mess, no fuss. The astonishing Quicksilver cleaning plate.
Only $19.95 and $4 postage. Call 1-800-427-1151. That's 1-800-427-1151 to order now.
Hey, you want to see some dinosaurs?
Yeah, dinosaurs.
Let's get them in here. Loading CD-ROM into Windows.
Where's the dinosaurs, Dad?
I'm not sure. DOS command dot.
Can we see them now?
Not yet. Fig.sys. Configure jumpers and dip switches.
Dad, what's a dip?
I don't know. Where are you going, kiddo?
To the Crandalls.
What's at the Crandalls?
They have a Mac.
The Metro Center in Halifax, located just below Citadel Hill and within sight of Halifax Harbor. And Manitoba has a 7-1 lead over Alberta at the midpoint and looking to move on to the championship game against Saskatchewan tomorrow. But there are still 5 ends remaining, and now let's go down to ice level, and here's Colleen.
Thanks, Don. Kevin Martin, I'm sure you're trying to figure out what the problem is. Have you figured it out, your little discussion with the team there during the break so far?
Well, the problem's plain shooting. I think our percentage is probably around 17%. And that pretty much covers it, I think. Second end, just a stupid call putting a guard on there and forcing a guy with, you know, Burtnyk's hands to make a shot that's going to beat you, you know. So I think at the end of this game, in retrospect, it's going to be the Garden, too, that is the make-or-break stupid shot of the day, I guess.
Anything wrong with your rocks? We're noticing some pulling up short, even your attempt at your last rock in that end, you know, just bumping it back a foot. Do you think it's the rocks, or could it be the ice, or are you kind of puzzled at it all?
Well, pretty puzzled, yeah. This is the exact same rocks we've been using the last 3-4 games. You know, we've used the same pair, and they've been really good. I thought I threw it harder than I did the draw that went too deep a couple ends ago, so I don't know, either my fingers aren't working or something.
Down 7-1, we can appreciate your frustration. What are you going to do now?
We better we better make the conversion when we get the touchdown, I guess.
Okay, we look forward to the touchdown. Go talk to your team, figure out how you're going to do that. We'll go back upstairs to Don and Don.
Not a bad line from Kevin Martin. We better make the conversion. Yes, indeed. He trails by 6. And that's a rather enviable position for Kerry Burtnyk and his Manitoba champions to be in. Here is Colleen with Kerry.
You're right, Don. Kerry Burtnyk is in the enviable position with a 6-point cushion. You must like the way this game's going so far.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. We're pretty fortunate to be where we are right now. You know, the big turning point was, I guess Kevin looked like he might have had a chance for 4, and it didn't quite work out for him. And so we're pretty fortunate and pretty happy to be where we are.
I got to tell you, those first 2 ends looked pretty scary for Manitoba. You faced 3 with your first rock in the first end, and then, as you say, you made that pistol raise in the second end. Slow start for Manitoba, yet look at the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's right. They played a great first 2 ends, and we were just a little bit off, and we're fortunate to get away in the second end with a steal of 1 because they had played a great end, and you know, we're lucky to get out of that one. And I think now that's built some momentum into us. We've probed a lot better since that end, and hopefully we can continue on.
You know, all week we've seen 3s, 4s, and 5s scored throughout round-robin games. It is certainly possible in this free guard zone. How do you protect against it?
Well, it's very difficult to protect a lead in free guard zone, so therefore you can get big ends. We're just going to try and be as defensive as we can and try and make them work for a deuce and hopefully not give them anything more than 2.
All right, Kerry Burtnyk, skip of Manitoba. Good luck the rest of the way. Kerry Burtnyk leading Alberta 7-1 here after 5 ends. CBC's coverage of the Labatt Brier semifinal will continue here on CBC right after this. Stay with us.
The weekend. It's when we slow the world down, or sometimes speed it up. It's a chance to roll up your sleeves, put last week in your rear-view mirror. And there's one truck designed for a weekend like this, Ford F-Series, with the go-anywhere muscle of push-button 4-wheel drive and the most powerful diesel pickup engine ever. More reasons why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck 29 years running in Canada, and that's a lot of weekends.
There are some things you can't put a price on. Fortunately, safety isn't one of them.
Hi, roadside assistant.
Cantel Amigo for $19.95 a month with no setup fees and no long-term commitment. Because if you had to put a price on safety, this is it. Cantel Amigo.
As the thermometer drops, dangerous crystals can form in your car's engine, threatening to shorten its life. That's why today's Quaker State has engineered intelligent oil. Oil that senses the changing threats in your engine and adapts its own molecular structure for continuous protection. Whenever the driving conditions change, so does Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
Scotties are softer now. Pass it on.
Yeah. Scotties are softer now. Pass it on. Scotties are softer now. Pass it on.
From Scott Paper, our softest Scotties ever, in beautiful decorator boxes. Scotties are softer now.
Auto Pro, 567 specialty repair centers across Canada. The largest network of automotive professionals and your traditional neighborhood garage, all in one. Auto Pro, the largest network of automotive professionals.
Hello, everyone. Championship Curling here on CBC, home of the champions. And we are in Halifax, Nova Scotia for Labatt Brier Semifinal, Manitoba, with a 6-point lead on Alberta after 5 ends. And you know, here it is, 1995. Back in 1966, Halifax also hosted the Brier, the Canadian Men's Curling Championship. And the view from Citadel Hill back then looked like this. In 1966, it was the second time Halifax hosted the Brier. Don Duga was still 6 years away from his broadcasting career as Ontario's Joe Garoko and Alberta's Rod Northcott played in the final, and a familiar voice set the scene for us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Don Whitman. The 1966 Brier is less than 24 hours old. But some of the shots made during the week will be remembered for a lifetime.
Guess who that is? You can probably tell by the voice. In the 12th end of that game, yeah, they played 12 ends back then. Tied at 6, Garoka held the hammer, but Northcott still had his final stone to play. His attempt to draw around cover zeroed in on the blue and buried nicely. Garoka was unable to get at it as Northcott stole the victory, his first of 3 in a 4-year span at the Brier. And holy moly, Don and Don, I didn't know videotape was invented back then.
But how did you like the brush cut? Well, we'll forget about 1966. This is the 4th time that the Brier has been held here. The last time it was held here, Kerry Burtnyk was the winner, and it looks as though he's going to get another shot at the championship game tomorrow. And when he talks about this game, and when people across the country reminisce about this one, it will be the second end they'll talk about.
Well, there's no question about it. You know, you get Kevin Park making a very bad mistake playing a guard. I don't think it was a bad call, but it just they left it so far out, Don. He had nothing to do with it. And Kerry making a great shot. What can you do? I mean, he just raised one 12 feet onto the forefoot and just a super shot. I mean, anytime you make a raise, it's great. But this rock has to take the correct turn. I mean, if it takes the in turn, comes in the open, takes the out turn, but it stayed perfectly straight. He punched to the back of the forefoot, and maybe just a great shot of the week.
Well, he had to have absolutely perfect weight to punch that stone back, but he didn't like what he was seeing in the first 2 ends. He was facing 3 in the first end, looking at 3 more in the second when he delivered his final stone.
Well, you know, that's why they say, that's why they pay him the big bucks. You know, anytime your team is down a little bit, you got to make the big shots to keep him in it. He did it, and now they're on a roll.
And then the situation reversed in the 3rd end, as Kevin Martin was looking at 4 Manitoba stones when he delivered his final rock of the 3rd end, and he was just a touch heavy with his draw.
Well, they brushed it all the way down the ice, and then they picked up the brushes just at the top of the house, and it looked like it was going to grind to a halt. But you see, they got on it right away, brushed it to the end, and a big steal of 3 points for Kerry, and that was maybe the deciding end.
Well, it was a steal of 3 on the 3rd end, but the killing end, I think that Kevin Martin would agree, was the second, when it looked as though he was going to score, and he gave up a steal of 1. Let's go down to ice level, and here's Colleen.
Thanks, Don. We'll be back with Manitoba and Alberta in semifinal action. Manitoba leading 7-1 after 5 ends. Stay with us. CBC's coverage will resume after this.
It doesn't take a thief long to steal a car. Police reports show that on average 1 car is stolen every 20 seconds. It's time to get serious about crime prevention. It's time for the Club. The Club is a state-of-the-art tempered steel locking device that's tough to defeat. Once attached to your vehicle, thieves see it and move on, leaving your car or truck right where you parked it. Accept no cheap imitations. Make sure your anti-theft device says the Club on the handle. Never park your car without it.
Introducing the Dremel Moto Tool. You cut, we cut. You sharpen, we sharpen. You polish, we polish. You drill, we drill. You clean, we clean. You sand, we sand. You grind, we grind. You hammer. Did I mention we cut? The Dremel Moto Tool. With more than 150 available accessories, why settle for some 2-bit power tool?
You are now free to operate all electronic devices.
What a hard-working bunch. And you're working harder than most. I've seen bigger screens on a calculator. Now, this is a nifty screen, but objects may shift during flight. And you're working too hard because, frankly, your hands are just designed wrong. Ooh, an IBM ThinkPad. See, now this is what it's like to fly first class.
Think healthier looking, shinier hair like this only happens in the movies? Nah, it can happen every day with Pantene Pro V. Pantene gets right to the root where healthier looking hair begins.
Kirsty's hair wasn't always so glamorous until she found Pantene. Pro vitamins penetrate into the root, while our conditioning formula improves hair all the way to the tips.
Hair this good deserves a close-up.
Pantene Pro V shampoo and conditioner. For hair so healthy looking, it shines.
Pro vitamins. I know they're in there.
Rust. What it can do to the outside of your car. Weak, neglected antifreeze can do to the inside. You need the tough anti-corrosion formula of Prestone. Use fresh Prestone every year to give your radiator and cooling system heavy-duty rust and corrosion protection. No matter what happens to the outside, Prestone protects the inside. Prestone stops the rust that stops your car.
Look for Prestone Defroster to help remove frost from car windshields, wipers, and mirrors.
You're watching CBC, home of the champions, Labatt Brier semifinal action here at the Halifax Metro Center. Manitoba leading Alberta 7-1. The final weekend of the World Figure Skating Championships from Birmingham, England. Tonight features the women's free skate immediately following our Brier semifinal here on CBC. We're ready for the sixth end. Don and Don.
Trailing 7-1. Alberta will have last rock on this sixth end.
You see Manitoba throwing the rock through, and he doesn't want a repeat of the second end or the third end. With so many rocks in play, he just wants to keep it nice and clean. Of course, Kevin, on the other hand, he has to score some points. He has to get two here. One is really not much help to him. I mean, he has last rock. He's assured of one anyway. So he has to generate some offense. He's going to do that by putting the rocks on the corner. And, you know, in his back of his mind, he said, well, if Manitoba can score 7 points in 5 ends, I can score 7 points in 5 ends. So that's what he's going to try and do.
Kevin Martin also talked about the percentages. Neither side has been great. As a team, Alberta is curling at 66%, Manitoba at 68%. Kerry Burtnyk is the leader. Individually, he is at 85%. And as Colleen suggested, the shot he made with his final stone at the second end should have ranked as a 10-pointer.
I certainly don't remember Kerry missing any shot in this game, so it's hard to figure where he's must have tough scores up there today.
Well, Don talked about the possibility of Alberta getting back in the game, and with a miss like that, there is a chance.
Well, they were just trying to move it over. That's it's in the free guard zone. They can't remove it anyway, but Kerry's just trying to get it over a little closer to the boards, and he asked Keith Fenton to play the out to come down. Just maybe chip it and move it over so that it would stay in play, but against the boards. Of course, by missing it now, it allows Alberta either to throw up another corner guard or go around this one, and they're electing to go around with it.
That chip shot that he attempted, Fenton, is a very tough one. I've seen him make it 3 times this week, which is incredible because it's such a tough shot.
Boy, they can't get anything going. I mean, they can't even get them in their circles. And that's going to be very frustrating for them because it looked, you know, at the beginning of the week, they've got a little bit of a roll going. The game they played against Burtnyk, they were very, very solid. And it looked like the Kevin Martin team of old. But here today, they've just been very average.
Now Rob Macon is attempting to run a couple of those Yellowstones, at least one of them, and he gets the top stone, and the shooter also rolls out of play. I mentioned earlier that this is the 4th time the Brier has been held in Halifax. The first time it was held here in 1951. That was the only time that Nova Scotia won the Brier. Don Euler of the Blue Scap Curling Club in Kentville was the winner that year.
Actually, not the only
Pardon
time.
me, 1927.
That's
1927.
right. Let's take you way back. Isn't that when that footage was shot with the crew cut? No. You know, that style's back in.
Murray McNeil of Halifax in 27. Euler won here in Nova Scotia in 51.
And Martin's got the 2 corner guards up now. He needs a little bit of a hit on the nose by Manitoba, and then he'll duck around these ones and generate his 2 points that way. Of course, for Manitoba, they're just going to continually peel these rocks. And you know, when you're peeling rocks, you don't want to overthrow them because the skip is grooming you for the ice or the rock that you're trying to hit with the same weight that you play normally. Anytime you up your weight, you're more apt to miss the rock. So just play your normal takeout weight. You should get a piece of it.
Line's good. Kerry. Pretty hard. Right. Kerry.
Well, the front end of the Alberta champions really having difficulty with weight.
Well, and that makes it more difficult for Alberta, because if your front end is not making any shots, it's very difficult for you to generate any offense to score points. I mean, how do you get any points when your team can't get them in the circles? I mean, it's very difficult. And it's very frustrating, I know, for Park and Martin and Paul and Bartlett. There's no fun playing when you're 6 down.
And Jeff Ryan erases the 2 yellow-handled Alberta stones. His shooter remains out front. That's the only rock in play.
Jeff's brother Pat, who of course started curling cards a couple of years ago, even Don Duguid has one. He'll have to get one of his brother Jeff at this rate.
Well, you talk about Pat. He's one of 13 two-time winners of the Brier. And Kevin Martin and Kerry Burtnyk have an opportunity to become a 14th two-time winner of the Brier. But there's a fellow from Kerrobert, Saskatchewan, by the name of Brad Height, who has some ideas of his own about the future of either Kerry Burtnyk or Kevin Martin.
Right back. Right.
And there's the rings. I can hear Kevin Martin playing. That's where they are, right there. Nice draw weight by Kevin Park. And, you know, it could be in the release of Bartlett and Paul while, you know, they could be letting the rock go dead. I mean, they're not free and easy letting it go. And if you let a rock go dead, what I mean by dead is you're actually kind of taking weight off if you're sliding the hog line. And it has no carry to it. And so it pulls up short. And that could be their problem.
Right up. Right up. Right up.
Now, Kevin Martin doing a little bit of gambling here, Don, because he could draw to the open side and say, okay, we'll exchange hits the rest of the end and score 2. But he's decided to go around the corner guard, and the danger is here, of course, that you may bunch the rocks. Now, is that a curler?
A very young Manitoba fan.
No.
They're started so early in that province.
Maybe that's why Manitoba's had so much success.
Well, they keep winning.
3 championships already this year. It all started with Kelly McKenzie winning the junior women's, Chris Galbraith the junior men's, and Connie Laliberty her 3rd Scott Tournament of Hearts Canadian women's title. And you know, there is a Laliberty factor that is riding on the shoulders of Kerry Burtnyk. The 2 previous occasions when Connie Laliberty has won the Canadian Women's Championship, Manitoba has also won the Brier. Mike Riley in 1984, Vic Peters in 1992.
Interesting stuff.
They call it the Connie factor. And they're all aware of it, too.
Regular weight.
And the Burtnyk rink has had a number of faxes and calls wishing them good luck from members of the Lalaberty crew.
Well, they dearly love to join them in Brandon, Manitoba for the Ford World Curling Championships.
Yeah. Rick! Hard! Hard! Hard!
When you're hot, you're hot, eh? Now, that's a lot of weight to be picking a rock out that's directly behind a guard, but he just picked it out of there nice and clean.
I don't think there's any question. The shot he made in the second end had to really give his confidence a boost.
Oh, that's right. You know, it looks like you're struggling a bit, and you make a great shot like that. It really gives your team a lift and really sinks the other team a bit. But he's been playing like this for years. I mean, he's just very, very consistent. All week long, they've been by far the best team here. Anytime you looked over at his sheet, whoever he was playing, he always had 3 and 4 rocks in play. Everybody was struggling to get one in, and he never complained about the ice. He just went about his job. Jeff Ryan, Meekin, and Fenton just, you know, swept the daylights out of everything and just curled brilliantly all week.
Oh, Kevin Martin used to make ice at the Abonair Curling Club, and he had no complaints about the ice during the week. He realized the problems that Bill Harris, the ice maker, was up against.
God, it is heavy out here, though, huh? Jeez. It's got to be like 13 max out here now. Max.
Yeah, it's getting warmer. You heard Kevin saying it is heavier out here, and Don Bartlett says it's getting warmer. But that rock, if it had a pull by the guard,
goes on, we're just not catching it, eh?
Oh, I don't know.
I threw that fairly firm.
You know, maybe the pebble's flattening out a bit.
I didn't have more than top 12.
When the ice is changing like that, it's always a good idea to start timing them to get a real good handle on where draw weight is.
Well, Kevin might have hit the top of the 12 foot, but he just rubbed that guard, so he wasn't that far away from making an excellent shot. You know, Kerry Burtnyk the last end made 2 pretty good draws to score 2. So he doesn't seem to be having any trouble. They may be just fighting it a bit, Kevin Martin. Ah, I spoke too soon here.
Kerry's rationale may be that he went a little further out on the sheet and didn't up his weight accordingly.
Yeah, he might have got outside the blue line, which is the edge of the 4 foot, you know, and it's getting a little bit frosty here, not as much as it was at the beginning of the week, but he might have gone just outside that path a little bit, where it's a little bit heavier.
Martin certainly has a good crack at the split here, though, for a deuce.
Well, Brad Height and his Saskatchewan champions from Kerrobert are obviously interested spectators this afternoon, and I'm sure they'll be making mental notes of how these ice conditions might be changing as the game progresses.
Oh, I'm sure that Brad is saying to his teammates, now look at you guys, let's be aware of this if it flattens out. Here we're going to give you a rock time and see if the ice is stiffening up a bit. This rock is coming right down the center where it should be fairly quick. And he's trying to play the chip and roll here on his own. He's got beautiful weight. Is he going to make enough of it? Yes. Oh, great shot. Beautiful shot.
No problems with weight that time for Kevin Martin, and Alberta gets a pair. And now Alberta trails by 4 after 6 ends in this Labatt Brier semifinal. It's Manitoba leading 7-3.
Forget rubbing and polishing silver, brass, and copper. Clean quickly and safely with the amazing product used by museums worldwide. Their secret is the patented Quicksilver cleaning plate. In hot water, simply dissolve washing soda. No, it's not ready yet, but watch this. Insert the Quicksilver electrolytic plate. Touch any tarnished item to it, and in seconds, it's sparkling. Clean many objects together with no smell or tainting. Pieces are instantly table ready. Quicksilver also cleans quality brass and copper, and especially gold, fine jewelry, even precious stones. Look how Quicksilver cleans intricate patterns that trap other cleaners. Simply revolve large items. Where water flows, it cleans. Quicksilver is environmentally safe and lasts for years. No mess, no fuss. The astonishing Quicksilver cleaning plate.
Only $19.95 and $4 postage. Call 1-800-427-1151. That's 1-800-427-1151 to order now.
5:23 a.m. and Benny's getting his regular early morning long-distance discount to Montreal. But look how much more he'd save with Unitel over the big guys. Later, during peak hours, Chantel would save more with Unitel on calls to Mom in Miami. Why? Well, because Unitel always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular long-distance rates to anywhere in North America. Round the clock, every day of the week. That means 25% savings on top of those regular time-of-day discounts you wait up for every night and every weekend. So, Raj would save more on his calls from London, Ontario to Vancouver anytime. Lucille would save more to Butte, Montana. Where is Montana anyway? Ah, there it is, located, you'll note, in North America, where Unitel Long Distance always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular rates and off those time-of-day discounts. So why pay more? Call 1-800-575-3000 and join those savvy consumers who joined Unitel to get quality long distance for less.
You've always got time for something wild. You've always got time for some fresh taste. Tim Hortons Wild Blueberry Brand Muffins. Baked fresh every day, bursting with wild blueberries. You've always got time for Tim Hortons. Bite into Blueberry Brand. It's wild.
This is the 66th year of Brier competition and the 16th year of Labatt sponsorship. And they're playing for a tankard that is now valued at $150,000. They don't get to keep that tankard, but the winning side does receive replicas of the Labatt Brier tankard. Kevin Martin won it in 1991. Kerry Burtnyk in 1981, and Brad Height, the man who is awaiting the winner in the final, has never won it.
And they've insured that tankard for $350,000. I did try to walk out with it, but I didn't get far.
Nice rock. And that was a pretty good shot by Keith Fenton. They were going around and just trying to move it over, and he just chipped it and rolled into the ring. So that's a pretty good shot. He moved the rock over fractionally off the center line, but not only that, rolled into the ring. So that's a pretty good shot for Kerry.
Well, the percentages for all four players on both teams are down from what we saw during round-robin play. Don Bartlett, the lead during the week of competition, was at 81%. And today, Bartlett is at 67%.
Well, they really continue to struggle with draw weight as well, either 3 feet short or 2 feet back.
Oh, boy. Had one of them days, eh?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Kevin. It's one of those days. I mean, the cardinal sin if you're a lead and you do not have last rock, never through the rings, always in front, regardless of you're trying to get it in. Keep it in play. I heard Keith Fenton say, oh, yeah. I can see why he yelled, oh, yeah, because he hit the rock right on the nose when he was trying to peel it off.
That's right. Well, that's good. You should.
Good. Well, the wives of the Manitoba champions are here watching, with the exception of Sherry Fenton, the wife of lead Keith. She's a school teacher back in Winnipeg and couldn't get off work to make it to Halifax this week.
Hooray! Just quick, guys. Hurry, come on.
Oh, boy.
And James Paul continues to struggle with his weight.
All right.
Colleen earlier mentioned that James Paul is a newcomer to the Kevin Martin rink, but in 1989, He represented Alberta in the Canadian Junior Men's Championship. That was the year that the Junior Men's Championship was held at the Heather Curling Club in Winnipeg, and Dean Jonis of BC emerged as the winner. The Albertans were 4-7 that year.
I think Kerry Burtnyk asking Rob Meakin to run this yellow one off belonging to Alberta. The reason he's running that one off, Don, it looks like it's guarding one of his own, but that rock was protecting part of the forefoot, and that's where Alberta will try and steal a game point. The other one, the best that Kevin Martin can do if he draws this one is catch a piece of the 8-foot. So that's why he ran that one off, as opposed to the red. So now for James Paul.
Right.
Trying to play the draw, and they got to work hard on this one to get it by. Boy, I tell you something.
You know, all game Alberta's been rubbing on these guards like this. I'm not sure if Kevin's not grooming them right.
What's that?
The draw weight isn't that bad. It's a nice draw.
Yeah, like
Well,
throwing everything, eh?
Bartlett and Paul at end made one shot out of 4. You're not going to win very many curling games if your front end only makes 1 out of 4.
And Rob Meakin removes the stone, and the shooter also rolls out. Meakin's at 67%. Usually in a game like this, you see the percentages 10 to 15 points higher for almost all the shooters.
Well, you heard Kevin Park before he came down to throw his first rock say to Kevin Martin, the draw weight isn't that bad. So whether the guys are letting the rocks go dead or they just lost their concentration, but they're not making very many shots.
I think he was just indicating that James's weight on that last shot was all right. It would have been top 12 or bite the 8.
Look at this one. It's starting to move.
Right through. Hurry!
He threw it good, Kevin.
Well, that would have been a first to see a rock curl that much this week. Center line.
I give you a little more ice than...
Poor Kevin's talking to himself now.
He really is. I think he's very frustrated. Not only he doesn't know. I don't know whether he's confused where to put the broom, because whether the guys are releasing them right or not releasing them right. But they're breaking big time here. I mean, look at that. Kevin Park drew there. Manitoba threw a pretty good takeout at it and hit it and rolled just a fraction. Now I think Kevin's really got to gamble. He said, okay, look, we're down 7-3. Looks like Kerry's going to score 2 or 3. I'm going to put up a center guard. Hope they hit on a nose and I can steal one, because if he doesn't steal one this end, for sure Manitoba's going to end the game. Let me rephrase that. They may think about conceding the game.
Has to be pretty tight, eh?
It's tight on its own.
Well, Kevin Park on his previous stone talked about how much more movement there was today than what he experienced during round-robin play. Would it be fair to say that maybe Manitoba adjusted to the ice conditions much quicker today?
It was a first to see a rock curl that much.
Well, I think they really did. You know, a lot of times ice conditions and strategy is a big part of the game. Throwing ability, of course, comes into it, but reading the ice is very, very important. Oh, look at here. Ooh, just got the corner of it. Move that rock closer into the center line. A little bit of a break for Jeff Ryan, because it looked like he might have airballed that one.
But he caught just a corner of the stone, enough to remove it.
Now for Kevin, I think he's going to throw up another guard. Now if he throws it a long way out, you think Kerry will go around it and say, okay, I'm going to get 4 this end, or take a chance that Kevin doesn't make a good draw with his last one?
What would you do?
If he threw it up, oh, I run it off. I have enough points to win this game now, 7. But, you know, ice conditions sometimes dictate what you do.
Mine's nice. Hurry up.
talking to Kevin Martin yesterday after his win over Ed Wernick. He said they were on borrowed time anyhow. He more or less thought the team was out of it after their 4th loss of the round robin. And then they really fought back nicely to get to this position.
Yeah, they lost their opening draw to the Territories. Then they lost to Nova Scotia. They lost to Northern Ontario and also lost to Saskatchewan. But it was their victory over Kerry Burtnyk that seemed to turn the week around for them. They seemed to be curling much better after that and looked as though they were on quite a roll coming into this game.
Yep. And the game against BC, I thought they were very, very solid.
Burtnyk probably wouldn't mind hitting this on the nose and losing one of his back ones to make an Alberta freeze a lot harder.
You talked about the game against BC. Alberta faced British Columbia. Martin against Rick Folk in the final draw of round-robin competition. The winner was going to get an opportunity to live another day, and Alberta won that one by a score of 9-3, scoring 5 in the 5th end of that game.
Exactly what he wanted to do.
Well, Manitoba's getting a few breaks here. He could have hit that one right back and left Alberta shot, but that's always a danger when you're trying to run one by an opposing team's rock.
Burtnyk, by quite a large margin, is the leading percentage shooter out here today.
Oh, yes.
I'm still at a loss to figure out what shots he's missed. I mean, there have been maybe 2 that he had an inch away from the wrong spot.
He missed that draw. He was coming around in the was at the 4th end, and he pulled up quite a bit short. Those the rings.
That little bit different.
Doesn't matter about the ones you miss. It's the ones you make that are important.
Sure. Now this is a do-or-die shot for Kevin Martin. He has to have the draw weight right in the 4-foot area, but more importantly, he has to bury this rock around the one that Manitoba has in the 8-foot.
Hurry for line. Hurry. Hard. It's really going.
Tight line.
Oh, he's all over the guard.
Chisel on it.
Hurry.
Roll.
Take it to the back.
Hard. Right up. Right up. Oh.
And he ends up shot rock and in front of the other Manitoba rock. Now for Kerry, he'll just try to pick that other score of 2 this end to pretty well clinch it for him.
Okay.
You know, I talked about how well Alberta played towards the end of the week. They won 5 of their last 6. They beat Ed Wernick twice and Rick Folk once.
Yes. Great job.
Easy to regular.
Easy to regular. This is when you don't care if you jam it, because if you jam it, he's going to be lying to anyway. Just a nice, easy release. Don't flare the rock out to the target. Just let it go. Nice and free. And he's in the final.
He's going to get his 2.
Yes, he is. Good shot. You see that rock fall back? Kevin's got his jacket on, and I think this could be it. And he's indicated to Park to shake hands.
Yes, it's all over. Manitoba will register a 9-3 victory, and Manitoba will move on. An opportunity to avenge last night's loss to Brad Height of Saskatchewan.
Congratulations. Yeah. Good luck in the final, guys. Good luck in the final, guys. Good luck in the final.
Kerry Burtnyk and Brad Height will meet for a second time tomorrow afternoon to decide the 1995 Labatt Brier.
As the thermometer drops, dangerous crystals can form in your car's engine, threatening to shorten its life. That's why today's Quaker State has engineered intelligent oil. Oil that senses the changing threats in your engine and adapts its own molecular structure for continuous protection. Whenever the driving conditions change, so does Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
Personal computers. Everybody wants one or already has one, but how long does it take to get up and running? Too long if you're reading manuals and too expensive if you take classroom courses. Here's the perfect solution. Introducing the #1 video teacher for computers. The fast, easy way to learn how to use a computer. You get a detailed introduction to the PC and professional instruction on the most popular programs like Windows 3.1 and Excel. With the #1 video teacher, you'll learn the easy way. No fancy words or jargon, and you can learn at your own pace. Call now and get this valuable instructional video for this incredibly low price. But that's not all. We'll also send you a second video. You'll learn MS Word for Windows, QuickBooks, and WordPerfect for Windows, too. Now the computer skills demanded by today's top employers are at your command. So why pay over $75 for other instructional videos? You can learn everything you need to know with the #1 video teacher. You get 6 valuable programs, over 4.5 hours of professional instruction for just $24.95. That's 2 videos for the price of 1. Call and get started today with the #1 video teacher for computers. Order now.
Do you dream in color? In bottomless blues and screaming yellows? In sounds that shake you to the bottom of your heart? In images clear as crystal and brilliant as ice? In faraway worlds as close as your fingertips? These are what dreams and Sony Trinitron televisions are made of. Make one come true for you. It's your life. Isn't it worth a Sony?
Last time I was at the dentist, things were not going well. But doctor, I asked, I've been using baking soda. Why didn't it help? Maggie said it's not enough. It's got to be in the cavity-fighting toothpaste.
There's a baking soda toothpaste from Crest. We've added baking soda's fresh feeling of clean to the cavity-fighting power of Crest.
So I brushed with Crest baking soda, and my next checkup was terrific.
Baking soda Crest. Feel the clean. Fight the cavities.
Get ready for some downhill excitement. Lou Confon goes for the men's title, while Peekaboo Street prepares to capture the women's crown. The finals are next Saturday.
Welcome back to the Metro Center. Welcome back to the Metro Center. Manitoba scoring a very decisive 9-3 win over Alberta in this semifinal game to advance to tomorrow's final. The Brier 95 here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Here's a recap of how the scoring went. It was all on Burtnyk's favor. He scored 1 in the first with a nice draw to the forefoot. He stole 1 in the second on a gorgeous raise shot when it looked like Alberta might score 3 or 4. Then he scored 3 more in the third when Martin's draw was a little heavy. Scored 2 in both the 5th and 7th end. Kerry Burtnyk joins us now. Kerry, a very decisive victory. I'm sure you didn't think it was going to be that easy.
No, and I really don't think that the score was indicative of the game either. You know, as you mentioned, Kevin had a chance for maybe 3 or 4 in the second end, and we were really lucky to get out of that, and we feel very fortunate.
I know you were a bit critical about the Page playoff system coming into this. You did win the round robin with a 10-1 record, and then you're back out here today fighting to get back in the final. But now that you're there, it must feel really good.
Well, it definitely feels nice to be in the final. There's no doubt about that. You know, it doesn't change my views on the Page playoff format at all, but certainly it's great to be in the final. We look forward to the game tomorrow.
Kerry, we're going to take a look at your big shot in the second end. You give us the play-by-play of it. You're facing 3 rocks.
Yeah, I was in the hack, scared to death, throwing it, and it just worked. The line worked out perfect, and I was just hoping the rock would stop, and I guess Kevin got on it here at the tee line. I was at the other end just hoping it would stop somewhere in the 8-foot, and we were fortunate enough that it stopped back 8 or biting the 4 and for shot rock.
Was that the game right there?
Well, I don't think it was the game there, but I think it was a huge turning point because the first 2 ends, they really dominated us in play, and you know, after that, I think we then became a dominating force in the fact that we used that as a momentum switch, and I think it really took the wind out of their sails.
You were facing very frosty ice conditions all week throughout the round robin. How was the ice today? Was it an improvement with the colder weather outside?
Definitely the colder weather has really helped. You know, there wasn't very much frost out there today, and there wasn't very much last night, so hopefully the weatherman will help us along and keep the weather cold here.
Kerry, we're going to show you another key shot that you made in this game. Of course, you made so many, but I think they've got queued up another key shot. Tell us about this one. Looks like it's in the third end.
Yeah, that's right. That's when he had made a great draw on his first one, and I was just trying to pick it out, and we're fortunate enough to pick it out cleanly without disturbing anything at the back, and it left us lying 4, and that's when he missed his big draw.
That in-turn pick very tricky because it was falling. So now tell me, do you feel any karma about this building? 1981, of course, when you won your first Brier championship against Al Hackner. Any special feeling that you get when you come inside the Metro Center?
Well, there's no doubt. You know, I've had a lot of success in this building, not only in 81, but so far this week. And I mean, it feels great to be here. The people have been so good to us all week long. The hospitality's been fantastic, and the fans have treated us really good. And hopefully we can follow it through tomorrow.
Tell us about tomorrow's game against Brad Height. What are you expecting?
Well, we're expecting a really strong game. Brad played so well against us last night, and he's finished with about 5 or 6 wins in a row, I think, now. And we're expecting to have a really tough game with him. Hopefully we'll get off to a little bit better start than we did last night.
Okay, Kerry Burtnyk, good luck tomorrow. Burtnyk, of course, trying to make it a Manitoba sweep of all the major championships. They've won the juniors. They've won the Scott. He'd like to make it the Brier, too, but, of course, Brad Height of Saskatchewan stands in his way. We'll be back with more coverage of our Labatt Brier semifinal as we wrap things up here in Halifax. Stay with us. We'll be right back with lots more.
I saw a vision of what this house could be for us.
He took it all the way down to the plaster.
This is our first house. In the other houses, they're off as much as 2 inches. These ones are perfectly true.
He took everything out.
I felt like I own something. I own a piece of the earth.
CIBC Personal Vision Home Ownership. To see better ways to borrow for home renovation, see your CIBC personal banker or call.
I see our home as sort of our nest.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
There are some things you can't put a price on. Fortunately, safety isn't one of them.
Hi, roadside assistance?
Cantel Amigo for $19.95 a month with no setup fees and no long-term commitment. Because if you had to put a price on safety, this is it. Cantel Amigo.
It doesn't take a thief long to steal a car. Police reports show that on average, 1 car is stolen every 20 seconds. It's time to get serious about crime prevention. It's time for the Club. The Club is a state-of-the-art tempered steel locking device that's tough to defeat. Once attached to your vehicle, thieves see it and move on, leaving your car or truck right where you parked it. Accept no cheap imitations. Make sure your anti-theft device says the Club on the handle. Never park your car without it.
AutoPro, 567 specialty repair centers across Canada, the largest network of automotive professionals and your traditional neighborhood garage, all in one. AutoPro, the largest network of automotive professionals.
أصاحبي أنا مخلق أمرتني الإدارة نرجع جميع الكمبيوترات اتصلوا ببعضياتهم. أنا ما نصنعش الصواريخ. واش محتي مع أبيم في الموضوع؟ لا لا.
شوف راه يمكن لهم يجعلوا الكمبيوتر ديالك يتصل بالكمبيوتر ديالهم ويتصل بأي كمبيوتر.
وعندك نمرة التليفون ديالهم؟
معلوم. غادي نصيفط لك مكالمة إلكترونية.
Welcome back to CBC, home of the champions. Labatt Brier semi-final. Manitoba with a decisive 9-3 win over Alberta's Kevin Martin. We're going to hear from Kevin Martin shortly, but right now let's go upstairs and find out what Don and Thon thought about this game.
Well, Colleen, I think like everyone here at the Metro Center, we did not expect a lopsided game such as we witnessed.
No, because they're two fine teams. I just think Kevin Martin came up a little bit empty. There wasn't any gas in the tank. Kerry Burtnyk makes one great shot. Kevin Martin makes maybe a bad call, and that's the difference in the game.
On the second end, Martin talked about the guard he played, and he, after coming up a little short, kept talking about, I should never have played that shot. Do you think mentally that might have bothered him?
I don't think so. I mean, he's thrown 1,000 of those rocks. I think he would have really liked it a little tighter, and maybe his weight was the deterring factor there. I mean, if he had brought it in tight, that makes Kerry's rock a lot more difficult. But I think where he put it was an added incentive for Kerry Burtnyk.
Well, he was disturbed that it didn't come in far enough and that maybe he should have played another shot. But let's be honest, it was the shot that Burtnyk made that was the difference.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But, you know, you can't leave Kerry shots like that or Burtnyk or any of those guys because they'll make them on you. I mean, a 12-foot raise used to be very abnormal years ago, but now they're just routine for these. And these guys will make them on you.
Well, it was that shot by Kerry Burtnyk on the second end that really turned this game around. And then a steal of 3 on the third end pretty much put it away for the Manitoba champions. So once again, the top 2 teams during round-robin play, Manitoba 10-1, Saskatchewan 8-3, will meet for the Labatt Brier Tankard tomorrow afternoon. We'll be back with more coverage after this.
Ford Hot Shots with Russ Howard.
Our curling team's faced with a situation here that would scare a lot of teams. We've got 3 rocks in the rings. They're close to the 4-foot area. But what we're looking for here is a rock in my situation only to about this area here. 2 good sweepers can hopefully drag this rock 6 to 8 feet and get it into the scoring area right where we'd like it.
I think sweeping is the most important aspect of the game. Yep. Most people tend to oversweep the stones.
Yep.
You don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger to be a good front-end curler. Good judgment is more important than physical strength.
Hurry for line.
Remember, it's the broom that wins the battle.
Whoa, easy, easy. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes!
For Ford Hot Shots, I'm Russ Howard.
Introducing the new Mercury Mystique. It has available all-speed traction control, a Micron air filter that removes dust and pollen, and a 24-valve Duratec V6 engine that goes 160,000 kilometers before its first scheduled tune-up. Yet even though Mystique is equipped like a luxury car, it's priced thousands of dollars less. Because the last time we looked, money still didn't grow on trees. Drive the all-new Mercury Mystique.
Now, from the Purex pillow people at Scott Paper, new noticeably softer Purex bathroom tissue. You'll see and feel the difference in every two-ply sheet. It's so much softer, so much smoother. Pillowy soft, regular, and jumbo Purex. Now, noticeably softer.
Introducing the Dremel Moto tool. You cut, we cut. You sharpen, we sharpen. You polish, we polish. You drill, we drill. You clean, we clean. You sand, we sand. You grind, we grind. You hammer. Did I mention we cut? The Dremel Moto tool. With more than 150 available accessories, why settle for some 2-bit power tool?
Welcome back to the Halifax Metro Center for the 1995 Labatt Brier coverage. Semifinal game between Manitoba and Alberta. Everything went Manitoba's way today. A very decisive 9-3 victory over Alberta's Kevin Martin. Kevin, I'm sure you're very disappointed with the outcome of this one. You never expected it to be like this. But tell me, was it the second end shot? Was that what did it? You seem to have a hard time shaking that guard. We kept hearing you refer to it on the mic over and over again. What a silly shot to play, etc. Could you just not get over it, or?
Well, no, I don't think it's not a get over thing. It's not a divorce. It's just kind of I hate being talked out of the shot that I want to call, and then when it does happen and I actually play it and then it doesn't work out very well, I get a little upset about that. But that's life. I have to make the draw on 3 though.
Let's talk about that shot in 3. We do have it queued up. That was a big one. You were facing a lot of red Manitoba rocks, and it looked pretty good at the hog line.
Well, yeah, the guys actually thought it was good, and it looked good to me, and it's really strange that far out it would slide like it did, and a little unfortunate, but we had to make that shot. That was just as big as the one in the second end, you know.
We haven't seen a rock glide that far all week. But, you know, you did have a terrific week despite today, because after 4 losses, then you guys rattled off a lot of big wins there, especially the final day of the round robin. You've got to be proud of that.
Oh, yeah, no, it's been a wonderful week, you know, and it's been a really good Brier. You know, we were lucky to have just a tremendous driver all week in Peter McPhee, and we've had a lot of fun, and we've knocked over a few world champions to get here, and Yeah, it was too bad. I really hate to put on a show like that. You know, I'd rather have a tight game, but oh well, that's the way it goes.
I think Don and Don have a question for you.
All right.
Kevin, going back to the second end, in retrospect, what shot would you have liked to have played?
Well, I would like to have played the bump. Being that the two rocks in the 8-foot weren't frozen straight together, but they were locked onto the back one, that if somebody noses our front rock, it's an automatic triple. So all I want to do is just bump it around a little bit, only bump it maybe a foot or 2 feet or even 6 feet. It wouldn't matter. As long as we bump the angles a little different, then Kerry has to make a great shot just to keep us down to 3.
You know, when we heard comments from yourself and from Kevin during the course of the game, Kevin made a comment late about the ice not moving nearly as much during the week. I think he buried one. It must have moved 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah, the ice was just great today. You know, they've, with a little bit of cold weather outside and the humidity down, it's made it really good. Like, this was the best ice we had all week.
Kevin, you're drawing
all
the
right,
third
Kevin
end.
Martin, thank you very much for joining us today. I don't know about that automatic triple. Those have never been automatic for me, but you're a different curler. You're way better. Coming up, we'll be back with more from Halifax, the Metro Center, Labatt Brier semifinal action here. Stay with us on CBC. We'll be right back.
Personal computers. Everybody wants one or already has one, but how long does it take to get up and running? Too long if you're reading manuals and too expensive if you take classroom courses. Here's the perfect solution. Introducing the #1 video teacher for computers. The fast, easy way to learn how to use a computer. You get a detailed introduction to the PC and professional instruction on the most popular programs like Windows 3.1 and Excel. With the #1 video teacher, you'll learn the easy way. No fancy words or jargon, and you can learn at your own pace. Call now and get this valuable instructional video for this incredibly low price. But that's not all. We'll also send you a second video. You'll learn MS Word for Windows, QuickBooks, and WordPerfect for Windows too. Now the computer skills demanded by today's top employers are at your command. So why pay over $75 for other instructional videos? You can learn everything you need to know with the #1 video teacher. You get 6 valuable programs, over 4.5 hours of professional instruction for just $24.95. That's 2 videos for the price of 1. Call and get started today with the #1 video teacher for computers. Order now.
Hey, you want to see some dinosaurs?
Yeah, dinosaurs.
Let's get them in here. Loading CD-ROM into Windows.
Where's the dinosaurs, Dad?
I'm not sure. DOS command dot.
Can we see them now?
Not yet. Fig dot sys. Configure jumpers and dip switches.
Dad, what's a dip?
I don't know. Where are you going, kiddo?
To the Crandalls.
What's at the Crandalls?
They have a Mac.
5:23 a.m. and Benny's getting his regular early morning long distance discount to Montreal. But look how much more he'd save with Unitel over the big guys. Later, during peak hours, Chantel would save more with Unitel on calls to mom in Miami. Why? Well, because Unitel always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular long-distance rates to anywhere in North America. Round the clock, every day of the week. That means 25% savings on top of those regular time-of-day discounts you wait up for every night and every weekend. So, Raj would save more on his calls from London, Ontario to Vancouver anytime. Lucille would save more to Butte, Montana. Where is Montana anyway? Ah, there it is, located, you'll note, in North America, where Unitel Long Distance always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular rates and off those time-of-day discounts. So why pay more? Call 1-800-575-3000 and join those savvy consumers who joined Unitel to get quality long distance for less.
The World Cup freestyle skiing season is drawing to a close. But the best is yet to come. Canada's Dominic Gauthier goes for his second straight moguls victory, March 25th.
Welcome back to the Halifax Metro Center. Manitoba advancing to the Brier Final tomorrow with a decisive 9-3 win over Alberta's Kevin Martin. We're going to be talking to Brad Height, who was anxiously waiting today's game because, of course, he's in the final tomorrow. Right now, though, coming up in about 40 minutes' time, we have our coverage of the World Figure Skating Championships from Birmingham, England. And right now, we're going to go talk to Brian Williams and find out what's happening at the World Figure Skating Championships, what's kind of show we're in store for in about 40 minutes' time. Brian?
Thank you, Colleen. Welcome to the National Exhibition Center here in Birmingham, England. With me, the world champion Elvis Stojko. Spectacular on Thursday night, but hey, there's some pretty good skating coming up later today.
We have the ladies free tonight, and I'll be there watching. It'll be good competition.
I tell you, no one cheers louder than Stojko for the ladies free program. And in light of what happened yesterday, Jennifer Robinson, the lone Canadian, not a factor, but quite a battle involving the American Bulldog.
It was quite an interesting event. I really liked it. It was surprising to see how many of the skaters have skated well and the combinations that ended up in the short program, but I think it's going to be exciting.
All right, we've got curling right now, but we've got a figure skater for you in the curling show, and he's reminding you the women's free program coming up later today from here in Birmingham, England. Let's return to Halifax and Colleen Jones.
Thanks very much, Brian. When we come back here for the Labatt Brier semifinal, we'll be talking to Saskatchewan's Brad Height. He is standing by. He will, of course, be in the final tomorrow up against Manitoba. We'll be talking to Brad, the farmer from Saskatchewan, next. Stay with us.
Think healthier looking, shinier hair like this only happens in the movies? Nah. It can happen every day with Pantene Pro V. Pantene gets right to the root where healthier looking hair begins.
Kirsty's hair wasn't always so glamorous until she found Pantene. Pro vitamins penetrate into the root, while our conditioning formula improves hair all the way to the tips.
Hair this good deserves a close-up.
Pantene Pro V shampoo and conditioner. For hair so healthy looking, it shines.
Pro vitamins. I know they're in there.
There are some things you can't put a price on. Fortunately, safety isn't one of them.
Hi, roadside assistance?
Cantel Amigo for $19.95 a month with no setup fees and no long-term commitment. Because if you had to put a price on safety, this is it. Cantel Amigo.
As the thermometer drops, dangerous crystals can form in your car's engine, threatening to shorten its life. That's why today's Quaker State has engineered intelligent oil. Oil that senses the changing threats in your engine and adapts its own molecular structure for continuous protection. Whenever the driving conditions change, so does Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
It doesn't take a thief long to steal a car. Police reports show that on average, one car is stolen every 20 seconds. It's time to get serious about crime prevention. It's time for the Club. The Club is a state-of-the-art tempered steel locking device that's tough to defeat. Once attached to your vehicle, thieves see it and move on, leaving your car or truck right where you parked it. Accept no cheap imitations. Make sure your anti-theft device says the Club on the handle. Never park your car without it.
Rust. What it can do to the outside of your car. Weak, neglected antifreeze can do to the inside. You need the tough anti-corrosion formula of Prestone. Use fresh Prestone every year to give your radiator and cooling system heavy-duty rust and corrosion protection. No matter what happens to the outside, Prestone protects the inside. Prestone stops the rust that stops your car.
Look for Prestone Defroster to help remove frost from car windshields, wipers, and mirrors.
Stand by, Colleen. Stand by.
This is Halifax Harbor and the skyline of Halifax. We're here for the Labatt Brier, of course. Semifinal game now completed. Manitoba beating Alberta by a score of 9-3. Now Manitoba goes on to the Brier final, of course, against Saskatchewan's Brad Height. Were you surprised by the outcome of that game at all, or at least the big decisiveness of it?
Yeah, probably, you know, I think they were two real good teams, so it could have went either way. But I'm, you know, kind of surprised. I thought it would be a real tight game right through.
What about playing Manitoba tomorrow? What kind of game are you expecting against them?
Oh, I think they'll be fired up for sure, and after a big win today, I think they'll come out really gunning, so we'll have to be sharp.
Saskatchewan hasn't won a Brier since 1980. Do you feel that kind of pressure when you're wearing the green on your shoulders?
Oh, I don't know. I guess you feel a little pressure, but, you know, we were only there once since 1980, so we only had a little part to do in that. But it'd sure be nice to, you know, get the monkey off your Saskatchewan's back, all right.
Of course, you had to make a big shot last night in order to advance to the final, beating Manitoba in an extra end. But you really had control of that game.
Yeah, we'd really played real well, and just a couple of shots in the 9th and 10th end kind of let Kerry back in the door, and then he had us in a bit of trouble in the extra end, so we had to make a good draw.
Hey, Don and Don are upstairs, and they, of course, want to ask you a couple of questions. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Brad, I made a comment during the course of the match this afternoon in the latter stages when Alberta seemed to be having a lot of difficulty with the ice, that perhaps you and your rink were making some mental notes, were you?
Oh, I don't know if I was making any mental notes. I think a guy should have had all those written down. It's been a long week, so we just kind of watched, and I think the thing you want to do is not really, get too far behind.
But they really seemed to be struggling with their weight at times as the game moved along.
Yeah, a couple of shots there. Kevin felt that he'd thrown really well, and he thought one slid a little farther than the other. So it does get, maybe it's in your release or just difficult to know. So it's hard to really say what would be the problem.
Brad, very little frost buildup on the ice, and the rocks seem to be moving really about 1.5 foot more curl to it on the outsides. Is that a little bit of a problem with your team, who really like to play up weight?
I don't think so at all. We play all kinds of weight. We are not really just always up weight. We've played, different all week, so we'll go according to the ice conditions as they go. And it was nice to see a little extra curl, I think, in the ice tonight.
Tell me, Brad, I know you injured your leg just a little bit during the Hot Shots competition when you were playing on very heavy ice, and you've been going to physiotherapy. How is the leg?
Oh, it's much better. It's almost... if I wasn't superstitious, I probably wouldn't be going back to physiotherapy, but it's actually starting to feel real good.
Just one of your many superstitions, is it?
Oh, not really. No.
All right, Brad, good luck tomorrow. We look forward to seeing the game against Manitoba. And, of course, we'll be back here from the Metro Center to wrap up our semifinal game and the big show. Manitoba and Saskatchewan in the Brier Final tomorrow. We'll tell you about that next. Stay with us.
We've made history on Canadian roads for years. Now we're looking to the future. Introducing the new Ford Explorer. The only leading sport utility with standard dual airbags. The one with the roomiest interior. The only one with control track, which provides four-wheel drive traction automatically. The new Ford Explorer. Far and away the best the world has to offer.
I see myself in this car. Solid, not fragile. This is Jane's car. Nothing fancy, nothing parallel or anything, just park. All I can see is highway swerving up and down and just wait for them to happen to notice, oh, is that Jane driving by in that beautiful new car? And then just drive away.
CIBC Personal Vision Banking and Car Ownership. To see how to get the credit you've earned, see your CIBC personal banker or call us.
And I can see where I'm going. I see where I want to be.
At CIBC, we're working to see what you see.
With paper towels that soak through and let go. Now there's Scott Towels Ultra, the extraordinary new paper towel with holding power. New Scott Towels Ultra, the ultra-absorbent, ultra-thick paper towel.
Forget rubbing and polishing silver, brass, and copper. Clean quickly and safely with the amazing product used by museums worldwide. Their secret is the patented Quicksilver cleaning plate. In hot water, simply dissolve washing soda. No, it's not ready yet, but watch this. Insert the Quicksilver electrolytic plate. Touch any tarnished item to it, and in seconds, it's sparkling. Clean many objects together with no smell or tainting. Pieces are instantly table ready. Quicksilver also cleans quality brass and copper, and especially gold, fine jewelry, even precious stones. Look how Quicksilver cleans intricate patterns that trap other cleaners. Simply revolve large items. Where water flows, it cleans. Quicksilver is environmentally safe and lasts for years. No mess, no fuss. The astonishing Quicksilver cleaning plate.
Only $19.95 and $4 postage. Call 1-800-427-1151. That's 1-800-427-1151 to order now.
Welcome back to the Metro Center 1995 Labatt Brier coverage. Semifinal game, Manitoba beating Alberta handily to advance to tomorrow's championship game against Saskatchewan. The All-Stars at this year's Brier. Skip was Kerry Burtnyk from Manitoba. Pat Ryan from British Columbia is the All-Star third. Wayne Charteris from Saskatchewan, the All-Star second. And Jerry Richard from British Columbia, defending world champion, was the All-Star lead. Now, we're going to check out what's happening in Hockey Night in Canada's doubleheader tonight. We're going to go to Ron McLean in Toronto. Ron?
Yes, two-time Brier representative for Newfoundland, Bob Cole, will be in action tonight at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. The Leafs host the Chicago Blackhawks, and the big story going into the game is Eddie Belfour, who leads the NHL with 4 shutouts, is back home in Chicago with a groin pull. So it's Waite or Hackett in goal for the Hawks, who've been great until losing to Los Angeles 2 nights ago against the Leafs, who've gotten it going again recently, and see this as a pivotal game. If the playoffs began right now, it would be Chicago and Toronto in the opening round series. The other game early on at 7:30 Eastern Time is at the Forum in Montreal. The 2 recent champions, the Montreal Canadiens, trying to snap a 6-game winless streak against the New York Rangers. We'll also highlight Paul Kariya on our telecast tonight, the rookie sensation with the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. You'll get an insight into how good he is in the crunch, and we'll see the Ducks and the Canucks in action in Game 2 of our doubleheader from the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver. That's all this evening on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC, beginning at 7:30 ET.
That's right, Bob Cole was a 2-time Brier participant, and you know, one of the members of the Newfoundland rink played with Bob Cole when he played in the Brier. Now, of course, the Brier final, Brad Hite up against Manitoba's Kerry Burtnyk. Let's go and find out what the 2 Dons think about that matchup tomorrow.
Well, Colleen, in the match between the top 2 teams last night, Brad Hite won in an extra end, and in the game it was 5-2 for Saskatchewan, and Manitoba came back with a pair and then a single steal in the 10th to force the extra end. What thoughts might be running through the 2 skips' minds and the 2 teams' minds as they prepare for tomorrow's battle?
Well, I think for Kerry, I think he wants to get off to a better start. It looked like he had last rocked the first end, and it looked like he was going to score 2. He pulled up short. Brad Hite made a great draw around it and stole one on that end, and then stole another one. So he was behind the 8 ball very early, Burtnyk. Then in the latter part of the end, Burtnyk was coming on really strong, and even in the extra end on, if he gets his second one in instead of pulling up short, he might beat Hite in that game. But unfortunately, he drove it a little too hard, took weight off it, and grinded to a halt. Brad just simply had to draw to the 8-foot to win.
Well, there are a lot of curlers here, almost to a man, I guess. You'd say they don't really like the current page system that is in effect, but I think Kerry Burtnyk might be a little happier with it today after getting a second chance, losing to Brad Hite last night, and now he gets an opportunity again to go back against Hite for the championship. But it's the top 2 rinks in round-robin play, as we have seen so often since this playoff format was introduced, meeting for the title.
Well, yeah, and they're 2 great teams, Don. Like you say, they're 2 top teams all week. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be the finesse of Burtnyk against the run by Hite. You know, he likes to play a little upweight, and it's going to be an interesting game.
Well, this is the rubber match between the 2 provinces. Manitoba won the round-robin game. Saskatchewan won last night, and the winner will be crowned Canadian champion tomorrow afternoon. Colleen?
And standing by, we're going to have Jeff and Pat Ryan. Pat Ryan, of course, has won 3 Brier titles. Now he's going to watch as his little brother Jeff tries to win a Brier title of his own for Manitoba. We'll have that story and more next as our coverage continues.
So I'm channel surfing when it occurs to me, I wouldn't mind hitting one of those fashion TV shows in Paris. You know, I'd find out what's in, find out what's out. That'd be cool. And who knows, maybe someone over there would appreciate the enduring qualities of a true Canadian lager. Hey, trendy colors come and go. Blue never goes out of style.
23 a.m. and Benny's getting his regular early morning long-distance discount to Montreal. But look how much more he'd save with Unitel over the big guys. Later, during peak hours, Chantel would save more with Unitel on calls to mom in Miami. Why? Well, because Unitel always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular long-distance rates to anywhere in North America. Round the clock, every day of the week. That means 25% savings on top of those regular time-of-day discounts you wait up for every night and every weekend. So, Raj would save more on his calls from London, Ontario to Vancouver anytime. Lucille would save more to Butte, Montana. Where is Montana anyway? Ah, there it is, located, you'll note, in North America, where Unitel Long Distance always saves you 25% off the big guys' regular rates and off those time-of-day discounts. So why pay more? Call 1-800-575-3000 and join those savvy consumers who joined Unitel to get quality long distance for less.
3 brutal killings in the United States.
She said that your brother and his family have been murdered.
A son and his friend crossed the border to Canada.
Everyone's telling me that they've been named as prime suspects.
But the case may never be closed. The Fifth Estate, Tuesday. Thursday.
I want $50,000 cash.
You're going bankrupt, Jer. You want me to help you?
I want my own place.
No deal.
Who's minding the store? North of 60, Thursday at 9.
The Labatt Brier on CBC. Brought to you by Labatt's Good Things Brewing. CIBC Insurance. Ford of Canada. And by Unitel. Quality long distance for less.
Welcome back to the Metro Center. We're just wrapping up our coverage of the semifinal game. Manitoba with a very decisive win over Alberta to advance to tomorrow's final. And, of course, one of the finalists is going to be one of the Ryan boys, but maybe not the Ryan boy you're thinking of, Pat. Although he was here for British Columbia, but ran into a little bit of tough luck, including your brother, Jeff. You're looking forward to tomorrow's final. What advice has Pat given you?
Well, he hasn't given us any advice so far. He certainly had wealth of experience playing in the finals of Canada, but I think he knows us well enough that we know what we've got to do, and so he's not saying much yet. He might after we're finished today, but so far nothing.
Pat, what do you think? What's the best words of wisdom you can give to him as a 3-time Brier champ yourself?
Well, I think you just got to go out there, and you have to make sure you're having fun when you're on the ice, and when you do, you play a little more loosely, and you know, it's maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you've got to go out and enjoy the time you're out there. And if you do, sometimes it just all works for you, and you play the best game of your life. So they're obviously playing good enough to do it, and they've done that all week long. They've proved it a couple times now, so hopefully they'll have another good game tomorrow.
Real quickly, who's going to be more nervous?
I don't know. How nervous are you going to be, Jeff?
I think the two of you are going to be nervous. Look, we want to tell you about other things we've got coming up on CBC in about a half hour's time. We have coverage of our World Figure Skating Championships from Birmingham, England, so of course stay tuned for that. Also, we have Hockey Night in Canada, the double-header tonight. Rangers visiting the former Montreal or the Chicago Blackhawks at Maple Leaf Gardens, followed by Anaheim Mighty Ducks playing in Vancouver. And of course, be with us tomorrow for our Labatt Brier final, Manitoba playing Brad Height. I'm Colleen Jones for Don Duguid and Don Whitman and all the crew on curling. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.